I just don't know if it's I don't know if it's gonna start yet. It's supposed to start.
Let's see if it's
There we go.
live.
Yep, we are live now. I just don't know if it's
Woo!
all right. Well, not much of a delay as I was expecting. Sorry, guys, I kind of forgot how to operate OBS and other things. Let me go here and just fix up some few last minute things. Now, what I would ask of you guys is let me know if you can hear Leaf as an echo through my mic because I I could not find my headphones. So,
Please don't have me be an echo.
but I think
Um,
I think you will be. So I'm gonna have a backup ready. Actually, I might want to just do that now. I think. Oh wait, no, because then they will not be able to hear you.
uh-oh.
Yeah,
Technical difficulties.
technical difficulties indeed. So, without further ado, what we'll try to do to remedy that is we'll probably just have to talk in turn. Um, I'll talk and then I'll probably mute and then I'll let you talk and then we can just go like back and forth like that. Just to spare the audience here. So I'm gonna start. Welcome, guys. Thank you for attending this event. It's gonna be a bit bittersweet because this is essentially solidifying the end of the series. What I'm gonna do here is, I've had questions given to me in comments, and I'm sure Leaf will have a lot of questions for us. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna answer all of them. I'm not gonna hold anything back. So even if you have questions in the chat that you want asked, feel free to utilize that. And yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it. So I'm going to pull up the questions from um, the previous video because another thing I didn't do is compile them. So
I got you. I got you.
wait, no, you have the questions, right?
I do indeed. I have the questions, and I believe I have who asked them.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So we'll leave the questioning to you, and I'm gonna go on mute now, and you fire off any question you want to start with. Let's go from there.
All right, all right, that works. Also, hi, I'm here as well. We are going to start with, I'm just going to start in order of how high they are in the comments. I will save my questions for last because they're insanely specific.
I'm here as
We're
well.
going to start with Wild Challenger 101.
Are going to start
With the first comment being, "Hey Adam, I'm glad to hear from you again. Sad to hear that Chronicles of Brawl is officially canceled, but I agree that priorities are important. I'm glad you haven't given up making stuff though. You have tons of potential, and I can't wait to see what you'll have in store for us." And then, following with questions, there's quite a few, but we'll just go based on in order. So first off, how has Chronicles of Brawl shaped you as a creator, and what has it taught you throughout the years making it?
That is gonna be like a loaded question. I should probably get a notepad. You know, right here, just to like jot down initial thoughts. But just right off the top of my head, what this series has taught me is the first things first is that if you have an idea, just like go for it. I was very, and still to this day I'm very like insecure about stories that I write and or anything that I make content wise. But this has really like helped me open up to like believing in myself a little bit more. Um, you know, getting familiar with the writing and getting used to being uncomfortable in these particular scenarios. It's it's just something about having faith in what you put on screen. Um, but I don't know, such a loaded question. I can't like list everything that I've learned because honestly, it's been a hurdle. But one thing I will say for sure is just like creating wise, just do anything. You know, like don't worry about limitations. Don't worry about don't worry about what you can and can't do with whatever medium you're using. Like for example, we're using Smash Bros, right? So we have a lot of limitations in terms of what the game will allow us to do. And I think one of the biggest, like one of the things that was most fun for me was learning how to break those limitations, right? To the point where I ended up wanting to learn animation. Like Machinima really like made me go to school for animation. I wish I could say it went somewhere, but the reality is but I don't regret it. I think that's just gonna be my answer for that. We can move on to the next.
All right, awesome. The next one is, will your original characters manifest in other projects since Chronicles of Brawl is canceled?
Wait, say that again?
So, will your original characters manifest in other projects since Chronicles is canceled?
I think so. I don't want to say yes for sure. But like what I mean by that is I'm very open to the idea of like one-off shorts. 'Cause I still want to animate. It's just, life is just busy. I still want to animate. So like especially with the models that I put a lot of work into and that I have just ready to go. As a matter of fact, I should probably show some of those models. Let me just fire up Maya, let it load up while we're talking. But yeah, like I've had so many things. Like I spent maybe, I think it was one of the times between my episodes, I think it was like maybe close to a year. I just spent that entire time just building models inside of Maya, or taking models. What I mean by building, let me clarify, is I would find models online, convert them to work into Maya, and then just like mess with their their 3D rigs and just make them able for me to manipulate, so that way I can use them. I didn't actually make them or anything like that. I would just like splice a bunch of them together and just make them work. It was a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I don't regret it, and actually really 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 enjoyed that. And I want to show because it just seems like a waste to just not use them, and I've got a lot of ideas for certain characters that I want to utilize, a lot of scenes that I wanted to really 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 make, and I wrote them down and everything like that. And part of what makes me really sad about not continuing the series is not really getting to those scenes that I literally would like kept me up at night, because I would just like think about them all the time. So definitely, well, no, I'm not gonna say definitely. Let me take that back because anytime I set an expectation and I don't meet it, I feel really terrible. But I am very open to the idea of showing the characters in other projects.
That's right, because just on the topic of sharing the models, I remember like you would send like screenshots when we were figuring out
Yeah.
like Sethos's model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally remember like trying to pick out like his hairstyle and being like a total like, okay, what would fit his character best? Like, would he want to wake up in the morning 3 a.m. to work on his hair, or would he kind of get up and go? It's kind of works like that.
Yeah, and yeah, like that's another thing. Let me just tell you guys, Leaf has been instrumental in a lot of these redesigns, especially for Sethos. And I don't really even know how it happened. It just kind of just did. It's just because like Leaf reached out to me and would talk to me about it, and then it's just like from talking to her about it, it would just like ideas would just come out of nowhere. So I want to make sure we give credit to Leaf here, because I was gonna start crediting you inside of the series and stuff, but we never got to that point.
Man, I'm super flattered. Oh my gosh.
No, yo, chill.
Like it was wild. I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm biased in my favorite character. I love this stupid guy.
Let me put him on.
I love him.
Let me put him on screen here.
Oh, the dude, the silly. Yeah, working on Seth's model, it was really cool because like originally he had like kind of like this grayish hair, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think we originally, I mean, we went with going with this blonde because I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I don't
he's not.
I don't even remember. Wait, Leaf, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. I have the screen open.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure because I just realized I never shared it. Kind of we're going off Discord right now. Um, yeah, so I don't even remember where we got this hair from, but this hair literally I like took off of another character and just started. I literally just like had to uh, throw it on top of this thingamabob here, his model. But yeah, it was just like obviously that's Pitt's model, and then through Leaf's help, we like decided on designs, and I put it into this thing called Substance Painter and just like manipulated the textures and just it just takes hours. I don't even know how to describe it, but then it's just like I had to go in here and get all these little like nerve controls and try and get him to move in the way that would make it easy for me to animate. And all these skills is something that I picked up while I was in school, and it definitely like kept me from getting rusty. But I just feel like I never really like got to showcase any of that. So I definitely want to like in the future somehow be able to like put that out there.
And I mean, shoot, we've talked a lot in DMs about just like, I mean, obviously nothing set in stone, but just like potential ideas, mainly to do with like the original characters and like what we see there.
And I don't know if you remember we talked about Sethos's like blind eye.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I put that in the model, so we can just open that now, since I guess that's gonna be spoiled pretty much.
Yeah, it was crazy because this was years back at this point in like a different Machinima Discord. I posted a sketch of Sethos, with like the original model with like the emo bangs and like that original model, and I was like, oh, there's probably like there's a reason for that, not knowing it was just a model. I was like, oh, what if you had a blind eye under there? Because I know in the series, in like the older episodes, he has a little scar on it, so I was like, oh, maybe it's blind underneath.
Yeah, and like I don't think I delved too deep into it, but there is a reason for it. But I'm gonna save that for if that question gets asked.
Oh, you better believe that question's getting asked. I've been waiting, man. But yeah, I'll keep going with the original questions first.
Right.
I think that is that one. Okay, next question from Challenger. When it came to using Brawl as the main setting, was the additional characters like Scourge, Yoko, etc. meant as a nod to the modding scene, or was it just to tell a more interesting story?
So I'm gonna be totally honest here. Okay, I didn't know Scourge existed when I started the series. But that's just one of the cool things here. Like I met people and it really like put me, it really introduced me to a lot of other things, within the stuff I already knew. Right, so like I was like from a kid, Sonic was one of the first video games I've like ever had. Like my dad bought it for us on the Sega Genesis, and it was just like I was always a Sonic fan after that. But I never delved into like like the comic lore. I didn't know anything about Archie comics until I met a few people and they like essentially put me hip, and it was just like once I found out about Scourge, I was just like, oh man, like I've got to see if there's a model for him on like Brawl Vault, because that's what I was using at the time, right? Found the model, and I'm like, all right, bet he's in there. I don't know what plans I have for him, but he's gonna be in there, like, and And it was kind of like the same thing with Yoko. Before I even decided I was going to make a machinima, it was I just like saw a model of her and I was like, oh, I can just throw her in there, and just play as her over Zero Suit Samus. And then when I was like, you know what, I want to try my hand at a machinima because I grew up watching machinima, and I don't know. At the time, I don't even think I had a concrete story. I was just like, oh, this is cool. And like in my ignorance, I was telling myself like, yeah, I'm the first one to use hacks in a machinima. I'm the first one to use models or whatever. And, so I was just throwing in what I could. And then finally when someone from the machinima community reached out, which is actually, one of my best friends, Wise Man the 13th, I found out that, yeah, I was nowhere near the first one to use model hacks and, all that other stuff inside of machinima. And as I continued to write my episodes, I was just like, I literally shot myself in the foot because of the fact that I threw Yoko in there for no reason, and now I have to make up a reason for her to be in the show. But to be honest, I think it worked out pretty well because like there's some ideas that I came up with because of the fact that she's in there, and I'm just like, wow, I can't wait to get to the point where I can finally like reveal the reason why she's here. Right. Am I forgetting any other part of the question, or?
No, I think that was it. Also, I think it's just really funny that you're like, ooh, this character looks cool.
Yeah. Ooh,
Slap
shiny.
them in.
That's just pretty much what happens. But because I think Lafayette, I got her from Brawl Vault, and it was like a Super Saiyan Daisy model. I think that's what it was advertised as. And originally, it was just gonna be like a power up for Daisy. And then like I had a better idea because like I needed another villain, but I kept running into roadblocks with I mean, I know you don't have to be like Nintendo lore accurate with any of the characters in a machinima, but it's just like something with me. I always try to like just put something in there that's like related to the character, like something, some Sonic lore related to Sonic is going to be in there, some Zelda lore, some lore from Kid Icarus, some lore from Metroid and things like that. And I just wanted to like have some of my own characters where I didn't have to worry about that, you know what I mean, like trying to tie all that together, even though I didn't have to, but I was just like, but that's where Lafayette came from.
I'm very excited to talk about. I do want to just. I've drawn a lot for this series. I have a ton in like previous sketchbooks, but originally, actually, the first few pages are that storyboard that I sent you.
Mm-hmm.
I can wait to show that off.
Yeah, no worries. And remember, like I've got a ton of your stuff like still saved. So.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I've drawn like a ton of different characters. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I don't. Oh yeah, I took notes before the stream. I was like, let me see what I can remember off the top of my head. But yeah. Long story short, Lafayette and Sethos. Oh, they're my favorites. I love them very much. Which actually leads very nicely into the next question.
Okay.
Who are your favorite characters to write and watch throughout the story and process?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. Honestly, like, I mean, I think you love them more than I do, but writing Sethos and Lafayette, Sethos specifically, though, is, like, my favorite thing to do, because this dude is just, like, wild. Like, utterly wild. Like, his, just his manner, like I've always been a fan of like those characters that are just like stupidly insane for no reason, but they're like really powerful. Like they frustrate you so much, and they just seem like an idiot, but they're really not. So Sethos is my favorite character to write, but I can't deny the fact that I really like writing like for Shadow too, because Shadow, as it currently stands, like on the hero side, he's like the strongest right now, right? Like for like where we've left off, and just writing Shadow and his interactions with other characters is I don't know why I just like really like to write that dialogue. But like a lot of the newer scripts, I've really like I'm really like liking how I'm writing like Daisy and Yoko and Samus, right? Because like I'll show some of the scripts too in a minute. I actually should have had them prepped because that is one thing that I was going to show, but writing them in their newer scenes has been really, really, really fun. Let me see here if I have it right now.
So for people who know me outside of Chronicles, who know me like from art and just real life, I don't know how I'm drawing a Sonic character right now. This has never been done before in the history of my art. So witness.
I think you're doing pretty good.
Freaking okay, my headphones are.
I'm trying to see. Are these the? No. This is not the recent ones. I updated. Oh, because this is the old folder. That's why. Because I had to like some episodes that are written like more than once because I like wrote them years ago and then later in life I just I changed them. Oops. I'm trying to find the episode with Sethos. This has to be the most recent one, right? No, this is also the old one. Okay, so this has to be the new one because this says 2023. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let me share this. This is a PDF file. Okay, I have the PDF.
Also, is audio still working? My audio is being glitchy.
I can hear you. I don't know if the chat's experiencing anything odd. If you guys are, please let us know. We will try our best to fix it. Oops.
Super Saint Daisy is the best thing I've heard.
I accidentally just like closed the Discord thing.
Oh no!
Hold on, I gotta bring it back.
Let me see. To go along with the scripts, I have a storyboard because over the holidays, I was like, oh, I drew a scene from frickin' Muppet Christmas Carol with the characters, and I was like, oh, I can do more of these storyboards. So I have one for episode 14.
Okay. I have to find. All right, I just have to make a new one then because this isn't. I'm so rusty with OBS.
You're good.
Window capture.
Let's do that.
And then I can go ahead and. Oh no.
I can
All right, so this is the script, right?
Dude, those reading the scripts for the first time was so fun.
So, funny enough, so this particular scene right here, right? Dude, how do I zoom? Why do I feel like such an old man? There we go. Okay, yeah. Oh, have mercy. Okay, so this right here, I actually have this recorded. Like Morquez, like when I first came up with this, it's like singing while killing. and the segment should last like 1 to 2 minutes. Morquez recorded himself singing, and like he, mixed the music and everything. And I have the audio clip for this.
Dude,
Definitely.
that's so cool.
I know I never showed you, but it's just like I have the audio clip for this already done. It's one of the most hilarious things ever.
That's I will need that. I will need that file after stream.
I'll play it, dude. Hold on, let me.
Dude, okay. This is the part where I just geek out, where I'm like, oh, I'm professional and I work behind the scenes a little bit on the show. No, I'm just totally nerding out now.
Alright, so let me move this out the way, right? Just hide that. Let's go here.
Wow, speed throwing shade.
I literally just read that and I'm just like, dang, that's how you feel, bro. I just realized my wife is in the stream. She's funny.
My boyfriend's in the stream.
Oh, yeah. Hey, babe, if you're listening to this, make sure you're not getting distracted at work. Let me find it. Can't confirm. He's an old man.
Shoot, me, see if I have anyone. Oh, yeah, I have a few.
If I can just find it. I can never find my files. Even though I'm like really organized with this stuff.
My files.
I can't take that away. Yeah, aha, here it is. Let me know if you can hear it.
Oh my god!
The way I tear your skin.
It's like 3 minutes long.
The way your body bleeds.
Oh, I was not
fact
expecting this
always
one.
Win. No, they can't take that away from me. The way your family screams. The way they squeal and squeak. The way I'll haunt your dreams. No, they can't take that away from me.
Oh, this
We
is
may
lovely.
Never meet
This gets a duo.
again, cause you're up in hell above. But I'll always
Oh, I'm so
keep
sad we didn't see that.
the memory of the way you hold my knife between your ribs and spleen. Your
Oh, this
body
is
oozing
lovely.
life.
Oh, that reminds me.
They can't take that away from me.
I'm not gonna play the whole thing.
No,
Me and Marquez were talking a little bit about I mean, it's still a work in progress, but I'm gonna try and commission him to do a different cover of a song.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly it's like a send off to Chronicles, but I mean, still work in progress. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do like the thumbnail art for it. It's gonna be a whole thing.
No,
My pencil broke. No.
I remember he did send me an audio file one time. I think it's what you're talking about, but that was also going to be something I was going to animate with the Sethos model. So you might still see that. But actually, Isaiah just asked a question that I'm going to jot down because that is something that will be talked about. But we can go ahead and move to the next question.
Awesome. All right, let's see. Okay, where were we? Okay. So these last two questions from Challenger. We'll start with the first one. What was the initial concept you had for the story's plot and conclusion for both drafts, the original and the remake?
Like, I don't know if it's meant by like the recent remake, but so in the very original idea for Chronicles of Brawl, Sethos was actually the main antagonist, right? And I didn't have too much of a story. Like, Demise wasn't a part of it, and And I think it was literally just gonna be like a kidnapping story. Like Sethos kidnaps Yoko because like, and there's a very embarrassing like Chronicles of Brawl trailer that I have privated. I probably will not show. But yeah, so Sethos was like the main antagonist. He kidnaps Yoko, you know, and it's just like something generic. He wants to take over the kingdom, so he uses her as leverage against Link. But then like I just kept running into issues like writing that, like, okay, again, why the heck is Yoko here? And the reality is I just threw her in there because I thought it was cool. And you know, there was just too many holes to fill to the point where I just had to like make something else. Like, you know, it just wasn't working out in any shape or form. So that was a very, very original. Then after that, and to be honest, I don't even know what the ending of that one was going to be, because like I said, I didn't get that far in the writing. The remake, I guess you can consider like the story that came after that as the remake. I don't know how detailed I want to go with it right now, because I don't know if I want to reveal what the end of the story was supposed to be right off the bat. But wait, actually, yeah. I'm gonna save the answer for the last part of the question towards near the end, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these details are just gonna like end up there, you know?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad I'll save the spoilery questions for towards the end too. All right. Okay, this is the last question from Challenger, who says, "What made you use Skrillex's Cinema, more specifically Mike Thompson's a cappella remix, as the main theme for Chronicles of Brawl?" And they say, "Thanks, by the way, it's been living in my head rent-free for a whole decade and holds a special place in my heart because of the series."
You're telling me. Every time I hear it, I get nostalgia. So my older brother was actually like really into Mike Tompkins at one point, and like, you know, just like acapella in general. And like I guess you can kind of say my family, we have like a thing for acapella. And like I won't delve too much into the private side, but there was like, when I was first making the series, I was trying to go with like a very acapella type like vibe for, you know, and like even like down to the background music. But then I realized very fast that that's probably not going to work, because there's not too many options. Yeah, I was just like really into acapella, and like the stuff that Mike Tompkins put out was like, at the time to us, was like revolutionary, because it didn't sound like acapella. But my brother was actually the one that just showed me that song, and the very beginning, like right in the opening where the beat drops, that sequence that I shot with like Link slashing Ganondorf with the Triforce, that was like super accidental on beat, and it just fit so well. I was like, oh, I've got to keep this now. So I just kept it, and that's the reason. I don't know. I'm sorry, it's not like a super compelling reason, but you know, sometimes stuff just happens, you know.
Sometimes it just fits. I totally get it.
It just works out, and that's what happened. It worked out, and like everybody I showed, they're like, "Oh my god, this is sick!" Like that, you know, that fits so well. And I was just like, "Yeah, you know, it does kind of fit well." So, like, yeah,
well, might as well keep it.
Might as well keep it, because I don't feel like re-editing this. So
literally. All right, so let's move on to okay, Speed has some questions that are pretty spoilery, so I'll save those. But for one of his questions, from a creative side, what was your favorite part, and subsequently your least favorite part about working on this project?
See, that's the thing. My favorite part and my least favorite part are the same thing.
Really?
The visual effects. The visual effects. They are a pain to make work sometimes. But when you're done, it's just like, oh my god, that was all worth it. Well, no, maybe I should take that back. Because, I mean, there are parts of it that I, like, of editing that I didn't like. but it had more so to do with like my personal preference. Like I prefer to work on special effects than like just regular like dialogue scenes, right? I like flashy scenes. That's what I like. That's what I like to work on. But essentially, the special effects were like the favorite and least favorite.
All right, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. All right, let's see. Okay, Aries Berry asks, are you planning to make any new content moving forward, whether that be a mini animated shorts or a possible series? She also says, I'm interested to see where your creativity takes you, and you will always have my support. And then a spoiler question regarding Link and Zelda, so I will save that.
Yeah, I was gonna say after we get through like a lot of the creative questions, well, we can start the spoiler questions.
Woo!
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I do wanna make more content eventually. I just have like a lot of like things to work out. Currently, right now, to keep the creative, I don't know what to call it, but creative itch. I don't know. To scratch the continuous creative itch, I am currently writing a novel, but that is just, I do want to. I think I do want to publish it, because I've always wanted to write a book, like when I was a kid, and that's kind of how storytelling started for me. It was like I wanted to write a book, and then I started like drawing like these chicken scratch comics, and then I started. What did I start to do after that? Oh no, I actually did write, like I hand wrote a book in like a composition notebook, like front to back, and it was like book 1, and I was like about to start book 2, and then my mom accidentally threw the book in the trash, and then yeah, it was a huge demotivator. I was like, I don't want to write that story all over again. I don't even remember what I wrote, you know. So like I gave up on that for a while, but as far as like my YouTube channel, I announced before like I do want to make like audio content, whether that be, audio stories or like audio dramas or short animated scenes that like I said before, like I wanted to do, or like little skits and things like that. But I just have to work out a few things before I can like even dedicate that, because I don't want to leave my channel dead. I worked like since 2013 on it, and just after a while things just kind of like just kept piling up, and that's why like I've been super absent. But I don't want to like just like leave it hanging high and dry.
Right, man. Since 2013, that is a punch to the gut. I'm like, oh my gosh, how old was I in 2013?
Yeah.
That's the thing with like a lot of these like not older, but you know what I mean, like machinimas online, where it's just like, oh my gosh, I've been watching this since I was how old, and I'm turning 19. What happened?
Yeah, you guys. A lot of you guys are babies, essentially. Yeah, no, I started Chronicles of Brawl like right after high school, so it's been a journey.
Man, that's crazy. All right, and then we have a different question from Persona 7545, who says, I'm sad Chronicles is ending, but I'm grateful it happened. At least I'm released from suspenseful anticipation. Do you think you'll do a quick summary, like send a Google Doc of the raw script of what the direction of the show was supposed to go and how it was supposed to end?
I don't think I'll like send the scripts out. I don't really want them like out there like that. I mean, like the cast have them, but that's about as the cast have them. I know I gave you some, but
right.
I don't want to just like just put it all together and just release it, and then someone takes my idea and tries to make it themselves. Because like I've seen that happen a few times in this community. Not anyone I know. Like I don't know someone I know that took someone's idea and like tried to continue it on their own, but I have seen it a few times. Some of them get permission from the creators, and like that's okay as long as you have permission. But like for me, I don't want anyone to do that. you know, like I don't want like 5 years to go by and then like I see Chronicles of Brawl episode 13 drops and I'm like, what the heck? Like,
Like,
by who? Like, you know, then they have a knockoff name, MickeyMurk. Like, who the heck is that guy? Like,
who are you?
and so it's just like that's not something I really want out there. But as far as telling where the story's gonna go, that's what we're gonna do right now. So,
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I'm not sure, but if that's the like last creative question, we can jump into the spoilers.
Yeah, I think that was the last creative question. We could start with the one that Isaiah asked, or we could do the ones that are already in the comments.
Let's do the ones in the comments because the one Isaiah asked, that's like at the end. And
okay, all right. So we got that. There's another one about the ending.
Someone said Michael Murky. Michael Murky.
Michael Murky.
That's hilarious.
Where? Okay. So this is another one from Aries Fairy that says, "Can you give spoilers or review the relationship for Link and Zelda?"
Yeah, so Link and Zelda from the very beginning, I wanted to make their relationship super complicated and very annoying.
My gosh.
Because it's kind of just like standard that everyone's like, oh, Link and Zelda end up together, blah blah blah, and like I'm a fan of that too. Just like my younger, I used to like a lot of like rom-coms, especially like animes and things like that, and even like still to this day, I watch like a slice of life anime that has like a lot of romance in it. It's just like a guilty pleasure. But in terms of like Zelda and Link, like growing up, I was always like, oh yeah, Zelda and Link, they belong together. Hashtag was like Zelink or whatever. Z-Link. Yeah, so it's just like that like I was part of that team. But like when I was making the show, I was kind of just like, I don't want to just like automatically jump into that, and then like I don't want to create a romance story where it's like between Zelda and Link while people know they're gonna end up together. You know what I mean? So like realizing or remembering that I had Yoko there, it was just like automatic, like, okay, I'm gonna throw Yoko in the mix, and just to cause that confusion. People are already gonna wonder like, why is she even here, and then it's just gonna be like, why is she with Link? Why is this anime character with Link? Like, I wanted it to seem like it was like, yeah, Yoko was added for no reason, but after a while, when I started to actually write her purpose, I like took advantage of the fact that I put her in there for no reason and caused a lot of this confusion, even to myself, and try to just like make it into something, and it really started like to come together, and I'm like really proud of that too, because like Zelda and Link have this like connection with each other where the closer they are, the more powerful they are, and that's why Zelda says that in that one episode, like, oh, I feel like our powers are fading, right? Because she says that to him, I think episode 11 on the ship, right? She's like, I feel like our powers are fading, and that was gonna lead into like later on Link acknowledging the fact that because he like continues to separate himself from Zelda because of Yoko, like Zelda like becomes weaker essentially. As far as like who Link decides to end up with, the answer is neither. Like at the end, he wasn't going to end up with either of them because of the fact because of the fact that something happens to Zelda that I'm going to say later, and Yoko, she's obviously from a different, like dimension or universe, which was shown, like, we saw her fall through the sky like the episode 1 remake, which I like personally, I call episode 0 because it happens like a little bit before the first episode. We see her fall through the sky. We know she's from a alternate like dimension or reality, and like there's gonna be some point in the series where she's gonna have to go home, right? And obviously Link can't follow. You know, Link can't follow her into like the Gurren Lagann universe. That's not gonna work out for him. So it's just like, yeah. So like it was kind of obvious, like it would have been really obvious, like after a point, that he was not gonna end up with Yoko, despite them liking each other. But something between like him and Zelda happens later on in the series where he doesn't end up with her either.
Man.
Yeah. So that's the answer to that one.
All right, that because I was so curious. I think that was going to be one of my questions about Zelda and Yoko, and I always had a running joke with myself. I'm like, all right, reject modern Yoko and Zelda for life. That's the new ship. Okay, so for that one, that was from Aries. Let's see. Okay, so the only questions we have left. I missed one from Morquez, who says Sethos the musical, yay, nay, or slay, and that's how I get talks with him. I'm like, please, God, please make this happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, shoot, it already happened.
Yeah. So it's like what's it called? Yeah, as we saw, like there was gonna be a Sethos musical scene, and like I still have it up on the screen. I think. Sorry, I don't have anything visually pleasing for you guys to look at here. You know, actually, I'll play something for you guys just to look at. I guess as we go through these questions, I just like to start playing random episodes with no audio.
Nice.
But yeah, So Sethos was supposed to have a musical. So I guess yay.
It's canon. All right, I guess getting into the more spoilery questions. A lot of these are about like the ending. So some of the ones that I have are more about like the general kind of series.
Okay.
Shoot, do I have the ones that I had? Okay. Okay, so, well, I mean, just one question, just kind of off the top of my head, is about the little bits that you were started writing on your Discord with I can't remember the name. It was Sethos's and Lefea's it was like their backstory. Is that ever gonna like go public, or is that gonna be spoilered here?
Yeah, that's part of the lore. We can spoil that here too. Yeah, so like in my Discord server, I began to write. I haven't updated it in a while, sorry, but it kind of got overshadowed by the current book I'm writing. But yeah, so in my Discord server, I began to write a backstory for Lefea and Sethos, because essentially what they are alternate versions of Pit and Daisy, right? From a different like reality, and later in the series, this whole like theory of like alternate realities and different dimensions, blah, blah, gets confirmed by like Palutena, right? Because Palutena like ends up coming into the series, and I'll start sharing the scripts in a minute, and like going over like roughly going over each episode that I have written down. But yeah, Palutena was gonna come out. She was gonna explain the different alternate universes and explain like who Lefea and Sethos were. But from that, I wanted to piggyback off that and write like a separate story, like an in-depth of how it all happened. And essentially, like, Lefea is Daisy from an alternate dimension where like there's like a whole bunch of war and all that other stuff, and you know, Daisy was like this like really strong warrior, and long story short, she doesn't agree with Peach. You know, they have like a falling out. She goes off on her own. She like does a whole bunch of stuff that's like cannot be repaired, and because like they're at war with like Skyworld and all this other stuff. Like Palutena's trying to like go on this mission to unite, like she foresees a threat, and she wants to like unite like the land. So it's like she goes to war with everybody, you know, the Mushroom Kingdom, the Hyrule, Altea, and you know, they kind of like it's kind of hinted at that the Mushroom Kingdom is like the last one standing in rebellion. Other ones they either fell to Palutena or they joined with her. And so Daisy goes off to Hyrule, which has decided to align with Palutena. And you know, she goes over there and she like beats up a bunch of people. You know, she like and that's actually where I stopped writing, where when she got to Hyrule and Peach follows her there. And then like what was gonna happen next was that, you know, they were gonna go in. Daisy has Zelda hostage. You know, no one knows where the hell like Link is. And it turns out like Link actually like went to go get Palutena. It's a lot. Yeah, and then like after like all this judgment starts coming down, Daisy's like being judged after like, you know, they like back her into a corner, and it's literally like up to Peach like what her fate is gonna be. And then that's when Peach finally folds and she decides to join Palutena too, because of what Daisy did. And you know, they lock Daisy up in prison. Daisy gets like not necessarily tortured, but her jailer is like the booze of like, you know, from Mario. Daisy ends up finding out like some type of technique to literally consume them in their power, and then that's how she begins to turn into Lafaya. And like she like gains like these ghostly abilities, like in episode I think 10, when they were all fighting in the castle, and she like, or was it like, I think it was like before, I think it was like episode 9 or 8, one of them. But there's a scene where like the jewel on her chest like floats down, and then literally she appears from the jewel, right? And I wanted to like kind of like throw that as like a hint to what her abilities are. You know, the fact that she can possess people, and the fact that she can literally like, you know, like she's very stealthy. She can disintegrate herself and, you know, like put herself back together from that jewel. So essentially, Lafaya's whole being is that little jewel on her chest. Right? You take that out, you take out Lafaya. But then like, so back to the story. Yeah, Daisy ends up finding a way to, you know, absorb the booze from the prison, and then like she slowly begins to like gain their powers and cultivate it to her own. And then she goes to Pit, who is on Palutena's side, and then like throughout the story you kind of see like there's already like somewhat of a relationship between Pit and Daisy in that universe. And you know, she pretty much like convinces Pit to be on her side because she wants Palutena's staff, because like the staff has some type of ability that will enable her to finally be able to, you know, take the power that she really wants. And she convinces Pit, I don't know how I was going to do it, but Pit does end up obtaining the staff, but before he can give it to Daisy, Palutena like puts a curse on Pit, and then he turns into like this like beast, right? Pit turns into a beast. It's kind of like similar to like a dragon, and I know you've drawn. I've told you this before, so, and I know I know you've drawn.
I have the concepts.
Yeah, you've drawn so many concepts for that beast version of him. Let me see if I have a bunch. I did a rework
last night where I was like, I gotta redraw it. Well, I don't have to.
You did.
Yeah, my dude.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. Yeah.
My guy. I love him.
I got another one too. Then you got an OBS. Hold on, we'll put.
Wait, let me. I twist. There we go.
I'm gonna put this one on here just to have a. Can I put GIFs on here? Let me. GIFs? I don't know how to. I don't know what people prefer. I prefer GIF.
Oh man, I'm just watching the stream. I'm like, episode 0. I watched that when I was in middle school.
That's crazy. Where is it?
yeah, it's pretty crazy because I had just been like sending fan art at this point, and not fan art. I like was working on like Sethos's model with you, and I was like, oh, dragon, because my main thing is like I like drawing characters with like different ideas. Oh my gosh, I remember that drawing, dude.
Yeah, that was funny, yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh, Sethos is a dragon because I think it'd be cool. And then you sent scripts a while later, and I was like, yeah, I was using the idea. So, I have like a colored version, but that's kind of outdated. But yeah, the idea for that was like, we like talked about like potential like fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously potential, and I was like, oh, what if like the wings are like a weak point? So, wings are hidden under there. And then he has like, just his basic.
Yeah, we
goop.
did talk about that too. Hold on, I'm trying to. Oops, sorry. Now there's a big black bar. I'm trying to like just have this stuff ready and out. Not that one. I want the PNG one. There it is. Can I share this? No, that's not right. Why is it not popping up? Untitled Dash 2.
Don't look at that one. That one's spoilers. Spoilers, and I love them so very much.
I wonder why this. Oh, okay, I'm trying to like pull up a separate window so I could just like flick between like PDF. I mean the image files in case I need to pull something up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me pull that up. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, OBS is not being my friend right now. Oh well.
You're good.
Let's delete that. And let's bring it back. Let's see if it'll let me do it now.
Oh.
Now it's showing like the whole stream. Boom. No, it's not. Wow. Okay. Well, that's gonna go away. I know what to do now. I was just wanting it to just be something I can just constantly click and it'll change. Yeah, I know OBS honestly trash, but I didn't give myself enough time to even like figure this stuff out. So that's my fault. But what I can do is I can literally just like open up this image and then like I'll just whenever I want to change it, I'll just have to browse through it and change it. Yeah,
I mean, that works.
Yeah. Sorry guys. Here we go. I'll just put this Sethos one over here.
You'll never be. Oh, my old art. Oh my god.
Hey, it's still good.
Mick, don't show that.
I like it.
Rather.
It's one of my favorites. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
We're gonna put that one there for now. When I need to change it later, I will. So yeah. Yeah. So we left off Sethos becoming a beast, right? And with that, he has this moment where he like cannot control his rage. He cannot control he can't control anything. And I think I mentioned to you before where it was like he maintains like part of the curse was that he begins to like forget who he is. That's part of the curse. He can't remember that he's Pit. And like all the while, like while he's like in beast form, Palutena's still alive, but she doesn't have her staff. And then what ends up happening is like Lafaya, after she gains her power, she breaks out of prison, right? And then like she meets up with Sethos, corrupts him and all that other stuff, and he does what he does for her. And then after she finds out, like she ends up like going to Skyworld and like finding Sethos in this beast form, right? She's the one that gets him to like revert to the form that he's in now. And then Sethos kills Palutena, gets her staff. I mean, like, he already has her staff, but they kill Palutena, and then like with the staff, they end up like starting to like reshape the world and blah blah blah, and it like ends up becoming like this big nightmare fuel because like their universe is just nightmare fuel, right? And then literally like as all that's going on, that's when like Demise snatches them out of their universe and brings them into, brings them into like this little pocket dimension that he has, and convinces them to join him and blah blah blah. And then like I was trying to hint that the whole threat that the Palutena of that like reality was trying to prevent was actually Demise. Because like Palutena was like, oh, I fear that he's pretty much gonna come here, so she was trying to like prevent that, but like that was her fault because he was never gonna go there. But she essentially like handed him two like powerful assets. But yeah, that was just gonna be their backstory leading up until like the current events of Chronicles of Brawl.
Man, it's so cool. Just like knowing, like, oh my gosh, my favorite characters, their stories public now. Yes. Oh, info dump. Hallelujah. I mean, regarding that, the elephant in the room, Sathea, I ship them for life. Regarding, shipping or otherwise, what was their like relationship like? What in the main series? They have some kind of like connection with each other, like with the telepathy in the earlier episodes. Just kind of they're always just kind of hanging out by each other. Is that like after all that they've been through together, did they like start being like closer, or what was that whole deal?
Yeah, so that comes from and I kind of skipped over that by accident, but that was part of like her breaking the curse. And after like it was purely accidental, it was going to be accidental, the curse broke and they found themselves like really connected with each other, because in order to break the curse, Lafayette essentially had to give him like a piece of her, so that he wouldn't continuously like out of control revert back to his like beast form, right? And now, but because of that curse, and that curse was going to get revealed in the actual like series, because that curse, he would essentially like utilize it in like one of the final battle scenes, right? Because in order to go into that beast form, he has to do one of two things. The first, like one way to go into his beast form, he literally has to ask Lafayette for permission, right? And she has to like grant him permission because she's in control. Yeah, she's in control over his curse, right?
Dude.
But she can't willingly do it. He has to ask her, and then she has to do it, right? That's like the condition for it. That's one way. The other way is he has to break his halo on his head. But the halo being broken, I decided like that is a more permanent method. If he breaks that halo, it's permanent.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool. I just kind of like in the original sketches for that, I was like, oh, I'll just throw it on. I'm like, it just happens. That's cool that it like, evolved into that. That's awesome.
Oh, actually, so there's a question in the chat I want to tackle real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see, yeah. What were the ultimate roles of Mario and Luigi? All right. No one's gonna like this answer. I didn't have one for them. Simply because like I have no idea what to do with them. And you know how earlier we mentioned who are my favorite characters to write? Mario and Luigi are my least favorite to write.
Really?
Yeah, because like I don't have anything for them. I was never like, and I know it just stems from like I was never really into Mario. Not that I dislike the character or anything like that, but I just like I never have any ideas. And because like originally, like the whole thing, like with Daisy, Daisy being being like this badass and all that other stuff, but that was gonna be for Mario and Luigi, but I just could not make it work in my head, and I didn't like it. So they're kind of like I don't want to call them the fodder of their kingdoms, but I just did not have anything for them.
Man.
Yeah.
thought you told me they would create the Plastic Brigade. The true final boss.
Yeah. Nah. Nah. Oh, but actually, you know what? I'm gonna drop a spoiler for that though, because it's super. So this wasn't the original idea, and there's probably like gonna be contradiction in the actual show after I say this, but Mario never defeated Bowser. It was Daisy.
Really?
Yeah.
We're getting Smash King Bowser defeating Ganondorf all up in here.
Yeah. So Daisy defeated Bowser, but it's like it's not like I decided like maybe it's like a kingdom. I haven't gotten to that part of it, but like maybe it's like a kingdom like secret. Like they don't want the public to know that Daisy was the one that did it for some reason.
Man.
But I haven't like broken that down yet, so I can't even tell you why. Yeah. Oh, but Stevie, no, we haven't talked about Yoko's role yet, but we will get there. We will get there. What other questions we got?
Okay, this one was more like specific, based on like an instance. So in the revamp of the intro, I don't know when it was uploaded or whatever, but it was like the revamp of the upload. One of the very first scenes was like, Dark Link, and he's hanging out a window, and then there's just like a hand.
Oh.
We haven't even gotten to Dark Link as like a character. But yeah, that was mainly the question, like who was that? I mean, since they are in the intro.
Yeah, that was Hylia.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was Hylia. Because there's like there's a connection between the two, right? Because like we see in episode 12 Bowser like mentioning the first hero, and then like Dark Link gets like super pissed, right? That has significance. Do I want to spoil this early?
I mean, we can put a pause in that. We don't have any other questions that are like aren't spoilery towards like the end of the series. But I mean, we can like
then we can wait, hold on. Do we still have like more questions to go through, or open discussion?
We have more questions, but they're all about like the end of the series, what characters get killed in the end of the series, who goes where, that sort of deal.
Okay. All right. So what I'll do is, what about you? You have any questions?
They're all spoilery, and one of them is embarrassing.
I mean that's fine. I want to get into the spoiler stuff, but I feel like a lot of the end stuff I don't want to say right now.
Right.
I'm gonna start opening up scripts.
Ooh, I can. I'm gonna show off the storyboard then, if that's cool.
Yeah, of course.
Where is it? I don't have the Muppet Christmas Carol one, but this is when I was like doing more like pen drawings. I was like, oh, I can figure that out. Yeah. Oh, let me turn it sideways. Let me stand up so I can make sure it looks okay. That was just like off the top of my head, and then I got the script. So I was like, oh, let me write down notes, and then this went on for a few pages. Went on until here. So, I mean, I skipped one of the pages, but Yeah, I got this was for, what episode is this? 14. This was for 14. Um, so yeah, it just had to do with that. I was just trying to keep it really like simple. My favorite ever page that I drew for the series is probably that dude. He's my favorite. Yeah, I just like these would just be like potential storyboards, you know, like if a scene were to be animated, that sort of deal. But yeah. Oh, yep. Anyway. Yep. But yeah, working with like the dialogue. Oh, my quality's bad. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, I just had like notes on there for myself. That's like, okay, how would this look in like an actual machinima? And I mean, working with like, you know, the animation that we had.
Yeah.
Oh man, the quality. No, I'll get it close, but yeah, and then you know, there's not a million, but there's a few mentions of, you know, Darklink teasing Seth. He's like, oh, you should talk to LaFay about it. Blah blah blah. And then yeah, I started this the next day with notes. Just like, okay, who was where. Mainly that sort of deal. And then this got into characters that didn't even show up in the series yet.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I'm actually like looking at this script right now. I know exactly what the storyboard from. 'Cause I think that was for episode 14, right?
Yeah, this is for 14.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like get them ready as you're talking.
You're good.
Because I know there was a few. Man, why don't I should have prepped all this beforehand?
It's fine. Content.
Nah. Because like there's a few things that happen where it's like, hold on, is it at the end of this episode? No. Let me go back. Because I want to start jumping into this so we don't make the stream too long.
Right.
Let's see here. If I go to episode 13, let me see the PDF for episode 13, because I've added. I could also just go to like the. Oh, I just closed everything by accident. Yeah, so this is that. Okay. All right, cool. All right, I found the scene I'm looking for. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to start sharing these scripts, okay? Let me go in here. Okay. Yep. We can show this. Hopefully everyone can see that.
My stream's a little behind, but I'll let you know if anything is out of the ordinary.
You're good. All right, so episode 13. This is the episode that was gonna follow right after episode 12. Oh, actually, no, we didn't finish episode 12. I have to go back to episode 12. Hey, thanks, Cisco. Yeah, I put a lot of work into my scripts. That's actually one of my favorite parts, like writing scripts. Where is episode 12? See, I started getting organized, and then like I put things in certain places, and then I forget where they go. I think this is episode 12 right here. Let me open this up. Yes. Okay, yeah, because this is where Zelda. Yeah, when she was having those visions, and then this is their conversation. So part of this is in episode 12, because I had to rearrange a lot of the scenes. So some of the scenes in the episode 12 that's out are actually scenes from episode 11 originally, and I just had to like move things around. So right here is where we pretty much leave off, and you know, see the room, like right there, the room flashing red, alarms go off. Fox is telling everyone to get to the control room, and they get there. So there was supposed to be like a little bit more dialogue than what was actually in the episode, right? Zelda's asking where's everyone else, you know. Sonic saying Peach didn't want to come, so Daisy and Amy stayed with her. It was kind of like to allude to like like, you know, where everyone was in the ship. But after I moved it to 3D, putting all of these characters in the same scene was a nightmare. You know.
Dude, I can imagine.
And I cut a lot of this dialogue simply to just limit how many characters I needed to have in this scene. All right. But like you'll see things like Ike talking to Luigi, asking Luigi how he feels about Mario, right? Because at this point, everyone believes Mario's dead because they didn't see Shadow grab him at the last moment, right? So everyone thinks Mario's dead. So like people are talking. Link is like feeling bad about himself, like, oh, you know, I didn't do my job. Marth was right. So that all got cut just because of that, and we jumped straight to, you know, Zelda talking to Fox. And this is when we get oh yeah, see, Martha dialogue was here too because he was supposed to be in the scene, but I had cut him out too. This is where we, you know, get introduced to Samus. You know, we see all this, and this is where like it continues off. So after they meet, after like, you know, the screen or whatever, Impa says she's gonna board, and then we go to that little intermission where you see Lafayette. You know, it was supposed to come back and it was supposed to continue off to like them having a conversation. Like now Impa's on board, and excuse me, everyone except for Link, Marth, Zelda. No, so Link, Marth, Zelda, Samus, and Impa are in the control room having a conversation. Like the door's sealed and everyone else is like kicked out, and like Sonic's like eavesdropping, trying to listen in. Impa's essentially just like yelling at everybody, you know, because like she's been put up to speed. And we saw in like episode 0, she essentially left Link and Marth in charge. So now here is where we see like Impa shouting at them for their failures. You know, she's saying like, why the hell did I believe leaving Hyrule to you two was a good idea? Zelda's defending them, and it's like a lot of back and forth. I'm gonna just scroll a little bit through. You guys can pause and read when the stream's over if you want to. There's like some context about like where Impa has been this whole time. Because I'm pretty yeah, I wrote this script before episode 0 was like a thing. We get a little bit into like who Samus is. I figured like Fox being, you know, like familiar with space, you know, he would know who Samus is. So I thought that would like be a good thing to put in there. Yeah. So they start saying that, you know, if all the intel that Wolf gave, if it's correct, then they need to start looking for the goddesses, right? Because like at this point, like they recognize that the goddesses aren't really goddesses; they're actually just aliens. So they figure that they have to have a home planet. We have to find them because they have influence over Demise and all that other stuff. And the fact that Zelda's getting all these visions and she thinks it's from Hylia. Yeah. So in the middle of their conversation, Fox like barges back in because he gets like a notification through whatever device is on his wrist that I haven't come up with. You know, that essentially there's a planet he's picking up that's not supposed to be there, right? Because the ship didn't like recognize the planet until moments ago, which is not right. You know, he states that like it's as if it appeared out of thin air. So as they're like arguing with each other about this planet, it was supposed to shift back to like Link's perspective. Everything starts getting muffled, and as it like Link starts focusing on the planet a little eerily, and then like his vision like goes like to the planet. You know, it's supposed to transition to like clouds, trees, a cave, and all this other stuff. And then like some figure in like a container wakes up, and like as soon as he wakes up, Link has like a splitting headache and just like goes unconscious. Like, right? And then like the episode was gonna end right there. That was supposed to be the end. That was gonna be the other part of episode 12 if the series had continued. Right. And then jumping into episode 13, that's when we get focus shifted back to, I guess you can call it Earth, or like the default planet where everyone's from. That's where you get the Sethos singing segment that we shared earlier. Yeah, then we get like a sequence of Sethos like literally murdering a bunch of toads. It was gonna be like not gruesome, but it was definitely gonna be like maybe some blood splatter. I was thinking, because like I think at this part in the writing, I was really comfortable with like, I can make this a little bit more mature. I don't exactly remember what year. I think I rewrote this recently, like 2023. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's labeled January 3rd, 2023. That's when I rewrote this. All right, so I was gonna make it a little bit more mature. Like Sethos is going around just like murdering toads as he's singing, which is diabolical. And after a lot of the toads like vanishes or he's dealt with them, he says like, "Oh, I'm so glad Demise gave me something to do." Blah 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 blah. And like he goes to strike another toad, and then a force field stops him. And this is like the confrontation between Sethos and Shadow. Right, I think it's the very first confrontation between the two, right? And like Shadow does some like super I think they call it aura farming or something like that. I don't know, like he has a Piccolo moment, right, where he's like standing on the top of a tree with his arms crossed and just staring down at Sethos, and the wind's blowing.
Because that's,
yeah, the wind's freaking blowing, and he's just standing there, and like start saying some badass lines like, Seth was like, "Oh, I thought you ran away with all your buddies," and he's like, "Someone had to stay behind to keep things in line." And then like he jumps down and starts walking up to Sethos, and he's like, "Unfortunately for you, that someone is me." Right,
and then like bonk in the background starts playing.
Yep.
Starts playing.
I was gonna like get some like Sonic Adventure music in there. Man, like this is another scene. This is one of the scenes I was talking about that I really wanted to animate. Right, so, Sethos laughs. Compares him to Scourge. You're almost as funny as the green one. At this point, the audience should like know who's who by their colors. And then as Sethos like begins to like charge Shadow, out of nowhere somebody punches him, and then when he looks, it's Mario, because like Mario and Shadow are like they're the only ones left, so they're just like trying to save whatever, like whoever and whatever, right? And again, like I never know what to make Mario say, so like he just says some stuff and then Shadow sends him away, so I don't have to write him.
Easy.
Yeah. I do Mario and Luigi so dirty when I write. I feel so bad. My death was greatly exaggerated. It sure enough was. So as they're about to fight, they don't actually like fight like Shadow and Sethos, because as they're about to fight, Dark Link pops up, right? And Dark Link, like it's insinuated that they're in the Mushroom Kingdom right now, and Dark Link is they were waiting for Sethos to pop up. So Dark Link was like, "This guy's taking too long. I'm gonna go get him." Shadow's like telling Mario, "I got this. Go away." And then he does.
I don't have to write you.
Yeah, go away. He doesn't feel like writing you right now. Yeah, I don't. So they go. I mean, Mario goes, and Shadow's like content of fighting both of them. But Dark Link like tells him like, "We're not here to fight. At least not now." Sethos like has some things to say to Dark Link, like, "Oh, I don't listen to you. I don't take orders from you." And Dark Link just like immediately,
he's like, too bad.
Like too bad, and like immediately makes Sethos goes unconscious. And like I wanted that to be like people to realize like, oh, Dark Link's actually pretty freaking powerful, right? We just see like we know Sethos as just like this insane character. He just seems super unhinged, and Dark Link is just handling him like a puppy. All right, and that's kind of what I wanted to go for, to like show like Dark Link is actually pretty powerful. Because we saw something similar with how he handled Link, and he just like wrapped him in all these shadows, and
just like, yeah, I can make a quick work of this.
And then you guys heard my audio clipping scream. because I voiced Link at the time. Yeah, let's move on a little bit. So after he knocks Sethos unconscious, Shadow's pretty much like, I'm not letting you guys escape, and Dark Link's like, yeah, whatever, and then he vanishes. And then
Because he does not care.
yeah, he does not care. No, he really doesn't. Because
I had a doodle. I wish I could find it, but it's not in my recent sketchbook. Like, instead of Dark Link knocking Sethos unconscious, he just scoops him up over the shoulder.
Yeah. And dude, it's
all right,
like literally, like, there's certain lines that I write that I'm like, ooh, I really like this line, right? So like right here, when Shadow's like, do you honestly think I'm just gonna let you walk away? And Dark Link's like, oh, don't worry, we'll have time for that later. And besides, who said anything about walking? And then he literally just vanishes just like that. And like, I just feel like that's just so on brand for Dark Link. Like that dialogue and like the visual I have of it, how I would have animated it, it would have just went so well. And I think that's one of the scenes that I want to animate eventually, just to put out.
It's really on brand for Dark Link. Just kind of like, I mean, Chronicles Dark Link just kind of has this like attitude.
Yeah.
Especially like the later scripts. There's, oh man, when we get there, I'll point it out. But it's just like, oh man, this guy is just like, yeah. I mean, I'm here to do business, but I mean, I can still make this a fun time.
Yeah, and like right now, I really only have like up to episode 17 written out, like in terms of how many scripts I can show, but that gets to a point where I can just talk about like the major events that were going to happen from then on. All right, so after like Dark Link vanishes and stuff like that, like Shadow's left alone. He thinks a little bit to himself, and then out of nowhere, Gino pops up. Like we saw Gino wake up in episode 12, but this is like his first like talking appearance. Like immediately you see he's like this really talkative, annoying character. Like, right? Shadow's like telling him like, you've got 5 seconds to answer me, and Gino just like, you're pretty rude and blah blah blah. And Shadow's like, now you got 1 second. So they have like this dialogue back and forth. Gino explains that someone from the Mushroom Kingdom called him, and like, but we know it was Toad. Shadow's like, oh, that's where I'm going. Gino's saying he's going with them, and then obviously Shadow's suspicious, so he's like, nah, bro. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Gino starts making a fair point on why he should go. And, like, the funny thing is, like, when I first wrote this scene, Gino had, like, 3 lines. And then he was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to let you talk to, I'm going to let you talk to, and I'm actually going to bring that up soon. So, okay, so literally, like, hold on. So, yeah, so he's trying to convince Shadow to let him go. Shadow says no. And then Shadow begins walking away, but then like he realizes like Gino is just like insanely quiet for some reason. So he turns around. Gino's in like this strange like trance or whatever, and immediately, like a ghostly figure of Palutena pops up, because she uses Gino as like a conduit, right? Like once Gino woke up, she realized like a pathway to communicate with them opened up, because Demise has just been like blocking her out, right? And so now like there's some familiarity with Shadows. He's like, oh, Palutena, you finally decided to show up. So like he like knows her, right? And that's like supposed to show that. And then like they have this conversation. Palutena like explains why she hasn't been able to talk, and like why now. And then like she's looking for Pip. Shadow brings her up to speed, because she's been out of the loop. What are you writing there? Oh, I see.
I found my old sketchbook.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. I got super curious. Yeah, so he brings Palutena up to speed. Palutena's like, like she starts to hint that she knows like who and what Demise is. And she was like, I'll explain everything later once you get me in contact with Pit. Right? So, and then after that, the conversation dies. And And then that's when Shadow decides, like, dang, I gotta take Gino with me now, because now I have a way to talk to Palutena. So it's whatever. So he takes Gino into the castle. But then this is where, like, that scene ends from the Mushroom Kingdom. It goes back to goes back to Hyrule. And now we've got Scourge, Ganondorf, Demise, and who else is here? I don't know. I think it's just them. And like I started to add more context into these scenes where it's like, why are all these villains here? Like, right? Why is Scourge here? Why? So I started dropping hints, like, Scourge is like saying, like, hey, we had a deal, right? I did my part, so what's going on? And this is like to start insinuating that, there's some sort of exchange here. Like these characters aren't just here just because they hate the heroes and they just want to beat them up, right? There's some type of deal that Demise struck with them. And, Ganondorf and Scourge talk about that for a bit. And then Demise, like, literally, like, pops up out of nowhere. Like jump scares him. All right.
Demise jump scare.
Yeah, and literally, like, Scourge says, how the hell does a big guy like you move so quietly? Right? Because, like, literally, I was just going to have the camera, like Ganondorf, like, Scourge is talking, no one's behind him. And again, like, it goes to Ganondorf, he's talking. And then when it goes back to Scourge, Demise is just standing behind him menacingly. Like,
he's just there.
And that's how that scene was going to play out. And then, like, he was going to get super, super, like scared or whatever. But Demise literally starts, like, threatening him, like what the hell is the point of Metal Sonic if he just keeps getting tossed around, right? And Scourge is like, starts making excuses. I didn't build him, I just gave him modifications. Demise is like, that still proved to be useless. And, like, as they're, like, going back and forth, Demise starts asking about Chaos Emeralds because he's never seen them before. Like, he's like, what are these, blah blah blah. Scourge starts explaining a little bit, and while Demise and Scourge are having this back and forth, it shifts to, like, Metal Sonic's perspective, and he's analyzing all the dialogue in front of him, and like basically signaling that he's still functioning, right?
Like, don't throw me out, wait.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. Demise and Scourge strike a new deal. Ganondorf, like, Demise pretty much nods to Ganondorf to, like, take out the trash, talking about Metal Sonic to dispose of him. Metal Sonic, instead of Ganondorf, like, immediately take him out to, like, destroy him, dismantle him, Metal Sonic starts absorbing energy from Ganondorf. Right? And, everyone starts freaking out, and until Demise is like, all right, that's enough. And then finally, like, from absorbing that power from Ganondorf, Metal Sonic, like, gets a new form, and it'd just be like Metal Sonic Neo, right? And, like, you see his shadow in the opening. Ganondorf, like, explains, like, oh, this guy just took a fraction of your power, like, talking to Demise, like, he literally absorbed some of what you gave me into himself and, like, used it to change himself, so to speak. And then we get, like, a small hint of, like, what Demise's power is, because Metal Sonic, at this point, he turns into Neo, and he, like, starts talking again, with more, like, consciousness and everything. And he, like, gives a brief description of what he analyzed from Demise's power, and he even states, like, it contains similarities to Chaos Emeralds, right? But since he's not completely compatible with it, he can only use it to self-sustain himself. And then, like, he tells Demise that he can be of more use, and Demise is, like, intrigued or whatever, and then he asks him, like, what can you even do with the Chaos Emeralds? And then that's when Metal Sonic tells him, like, no, I don't need the Chaos Emeralds, I need the Master Emerald, right? And that's, like, I wanted that to be, like, dang, they might go to Mobius for this crap, right? Because Mobius has been mentioned a few times. And that was going to be the end of episode 13. Let me pull up the next script. Actually, the next script, I'm going to have to go through the script website that I use. Okay. Let me get
And
another.
then I have the storyboard for that script. Well, one of them.
Go ahead and here we go. Let's just enlarge this a little bit more.
Also, in the previous script, I don't remember if it was in this one or in like the next episode, but I like that Metal Sonic is just like, you know, gets all that power, and then Demise is like, okay, and
Yeah.
he's like, wait, are you not impressed? Wait.
All right, so here I should have moved my all right, so this is episode 14, right? Okay. So this is one of I've moved like script writing websites like probably 4 times. But this is the latest, so it has all my later scripts or whatever. So episode 14 starts off with them on the unknown planet, because remember, like, Link went unconscious or whatever in one of the previous episodes. So now they're on that planet, and Link is like waking up. All right. So Zelda and Yoko are there with him. It's just Zelda, Yoko, and Link. The 3 of them went down with Link, and she was pretty much like, Samus gave them the idea to bring him to the surface, because like whatever's happening with Link has something to do with this planet. So she's like, take him down there, and it works. Link wakes up once they get there, or whatever. So they're like, asking him if he's okay. He's asking like what happened, and then it's whatever. And as they're talking, the bushes rustle, because they're like on like a clearing, right? And the bushes rustle. And then, like, they turn around, because obviously a noise that startles them. And then, out from the bushes comes a Pikachu. And this is them arriving on, like, a Pokemon planet. Or the Pokemon planet, right? They arrive on the Pokemon planet. Oh, I think my Discord's blown. I don't know if you guys can hear the notifications, but let me let me mute this. What's going on here?
That's actually smart. Well, I have headphones on mine. It should be good.
Well, I want to mute my notifications for my chats, because I just don't want it blowing up the whole time we're doing the stream. Yeah. So they. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading the chat. Sorry if I don't keep up with the chat as well. I'm trying my best. Let me move it over here. I just have so many windows open. Yeah, so they have arrived on the Pokemon planet, and that's like the Pikachu running out is supposed to like signal that, and then obviously they're like, oh my god, he's so cute. And Yoko is like about to go touch him, and then like Lucario pops up, and he's like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And so like they meet Lucario. Lucario is kind of like very suspicious of them. And then for some reason, like after a couple words, Lucario and Link realize that they're like connected, like I guess psychically, telepathically. And like Link knows his name, and then Lucario like stares at him, and then he's like, wait a minute, like I know your name too. And then from that exchange, Lucario is like, follow me. Right? And then obviously Yoko's like super suspicious. She says something about it. But Zelda's like, you kind of get used to strange things like this. So they have like some conversation, but they end up following Lucario. And Lucario mentions that their planet, like the fact that they found this planet is no accident, because the planet is like hidden. And the fact that he's there means that the guardian of that planet wants to meet with him. And then like Link is like asking like, who is he? And then Lucario's like, you gotta find out for yourself. All right. And then we move from that scene back to the Mushroom Kingdom, and this is where your storyboard comes in. And you see Wolf's ship fly past, and it's like back to the Mushroom Kingdom. He gets escorted inside by Bowser's cronies, and as he's walking in, he starts overhearing the conversation between Sethos and Dark Link. Sethos like woke back up, and like Dark Link and Sethos are like arguing with each other because Dark Link had like knocked him out, and Bowser, like this all happens like the Mushroom Kingdom throne room. Bowser is pretty much like bringing them up to speed of where they are to finding the Star Rod, and it's revealed that he like drugged Toad to get the truth out of it. Like Toad is literally like sitting in the corner. Toad is like sitting in the corner, just like spazzed out. This guy's like knocked out, drugged up.
He's like, whoa.
Yeah. And no, he pretty much like told Bowser about Geno, right? And from all that information, it's actually revealed that Toad's real name is actually Gaz, right? And Gaz is like the original puppet owner of Geno or whatever in Super Mario RPG. I want to clarify, I've never played the game. I just like found that out and decided to play with it. I thought it'd be like a cool little tidbit or whatever. And like I said, like I take influence from the actual lore. I don't want it to be 100% lore accurate because then it's like too restrictive. But I figure like I could put a decent spin on it, right? So we find out that Toad's real name is Gaz. That's why he has that connection with Geno. That's why he's the only one that could wake Geno up, right? And Bowser has interrogated him and finds out all that stuff. Oh, actually, I messed up right here. This is not formatted right. But anyway, he knows about Geno being active because he's like, the Koopa Scouts have been sending reports of a puppet-like creature disrupting our efforts. And then that's when Dark Link like pops up and tells Sethos to like let Demise know that Shadow is still running about. And this is when Bowser finds out that Mario is still alive because none of the new Mario was alive until that moment. Sethos kind of has like don't tell me what to do before he leaves. Bowser and Dark Link have a conversation. They talk about let me see. They talk about like the plans changing because of the fact that Mario's still alive, and then Bowser actually ends up asking Wolf like for his advice because Bowser is really smart in this series, right? So Bowser knows that he can't. So like none of the villains are really like on Demise's team except for Lafayette, Sethos, and Ganondorf, right? Everyone else is either forced or they made a deal, right? Bowser knows that Wolf is forced. So Bowser knows that Wolf has to have a contingency plan or something up his sleeve. And that's kind of like what he asks him here. Like, like he's like probing Wolf's intelligence. Like, hey, like, what's your plan? Like, and they kind of like talk about how, and then they kind of like exchange information, and Wolf kind of like tells them like, oh, my top priority would be to reestablish communication with my team. If I'm outnumbered, I need to seek help. So Bowser's like, all right, bingo, that they're gonna go for the communication room. And Wolf, we saw that Wolf is sharing information with them, so he's like, double agent right now. And so he realizes that, dang, I just gave them up. So he's like, you know what, I'll go to the communications room to to intercept them. And Dark Link kind of picks up on this, and he's like, nah, I'll do it. And he's like, Shadow isn't someone you can handle. Yeah. And then like,
he's casually like, nah.
Yeah.
I win.
Yeah. He's like, I'm picking up on what's going on. No, you're good. And then so after he leaves, Bowser and Wolf talk a little bit more, and this is when Bowser like talks a little bit about because like, oh, I'm sorry, I left out some context. So Sethos ends up like hinting that Demise has a new machine, talking about Neo, right? And Bowser asks Wolf about that. He's like, "Can you clarify? Like, is it true?" And then like they talk about it for a little bit, and they talk about how Neo is inventing some sort of transportation device. Yeah. And then Bowser's like, then this planet is just a stepping tool, because now he's like realizing the grand scope of Demise's plan. And he pretty much tells him like, we should all be worried. Demise is unhinged. He's hell bent on exacting revenge. He's hiding goddesses. We're nothing but tools. And once we're done, we're like once we outlived our usefulness, we're done. Right? He's gonna get rid of us. And then that's when Wolf is like, "Hey man, you talking crazy." So, but Bowser's like, I know you've cooked up a contingency plan because you're not here willingly. Because like we hear in like the previous episode that Wolf like tells the people like he annihilated my entire crew, right? And we'll get to that in a second too.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah. So yeah, they have this conversation or whatever, and they have this whole conversation, and then it shows that Gino and Shadow have been watching them this whole time. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That was in the old script. I changed that scene. So originally, I had it that Gino and Shadow were watching this conversation, but then I changed it because I wanted there to be some confrontation. And I was like, if they're eavesdropping and they know Dark Link is waiting for them, they won't go over there. So yeah, so the scene switches to Shadow and Gino like making their way towards the communication room. They run into a few guards, they sneak in there or whatever. And they get in contact with Peach. Peach looks like trash. like she's like obviously like super stressed out. She's been crying her eyes out, things like that. Like she just looks like she's not in good condition. Like not in a good condition. They talk to her for a bit. And as they're talking, because Peach goes and gets the rest of the crew. All right, so like she goes to where the rest of the crew is so she can share communication with them, because they're communicating off of like whatever device Peach has that connects to there. So they start having a conversation, and then in the middle of this is when let me see. I'm missing it. They are talking. And then, like, they want Zelda in the conversation, so they're trying to, like, have a three-way communication thing going on. And it cuts back to the Pokemon planet. Right? And it's Lucario, Yoko, Zelda, Link, and they're all, like, walking through, like, this forest. And like as they're walking, you see like Pokemon poking their heads out of curiosity, and like they're kind of just standing around like, oh my god, look at all these like really fascinating creatures, Lucario. Like once they get to the entrance of the cave, Lucario pretty much tells Yoko and Zelda like, from this point on they can't go in, only Link. And at first Yoko is like really against the idea, she's about to like fight Lucario. And then like Link is like, hey, it's fine, I got it, something tells me this is the right move. And he like promises he'll be okay and all that other stuff. And then like him and Lucario go in. And as they go in, that's when Zelda's communicator starts beeping, and when she answers it, and it's Fox. And now they're all connected, and now they're all having this conversation with Shadow. Shadow starts talking. He's bringing them up to speed of everything that's going on Earth, and then Gino sees that Peach sees that Gino's there. They talk for a couple of lines, and as they're talking, Palutena pops back up, right from Gino. She channels through Gino to make her appearance known. They're all shocked to see her. Pit is shocked to see her. I mean, happy to see her too. And, they all start talking, and Palutena, like, pretty much starts explaining to them what's going on. Right? And this is, like, the moment in the series where you finally, like, start to know everything. Because I see like there's this huge explanation here and here. So now let's go back up a little bit. Yeah, she even said, Demise has been hunting me relentlessly, and I've only managed to evade his detection by subduing my abilities. But thanks to Gino, I can communicate discreetly. And, Ike is like, like, dang, he's got that kind of power. Talk about dangerous. Palutena, that is correct. Demise is dangerous, and you were right to flee when you did. The power he possesses is indeed not of this reality. And that immediately, like, sends up red flags. Imp was like, I don't like that. Palutena starts, like spouting sci-fi jargon, like multiverse and all that other stuff. And that's when you like finally like realize that things are like on a much grander scheme. Palutena tells them there are dimensions reflective of our own, sometimes nearly identical or connected. And that the connected part is really talk about like how in the Legend of Zelda we have the Dark World and Twilight Realm and a couple other realms, Sacred Realm and all that other stuff. So that's what she meant by like there's some that are connected, but there are others that are nearly identical but different. These talking about the identical or connected ones we have been able to traverse and interact with without consequence. But there are others that are entirely different, completely void of our existence. And then we Guardians are an ancient race created solely to maintain the balance of our respective dimensions, bound by laws that ensure we remain untouched by such realities. And like that like signals like everything, like who Demise is, where his whole thing in this, like what he could be up to. Demise has broken a number of these laws and therefore obtained an unspeakable power, a power that exists in a reality far different than our own, a power known as spiral energy. Right? And spiral energy is a power source from like Gurren Lagann, the anime, right? And this starts to really breach into why Yoko is here, right? And like a lot of stuff gets revealed in this scene because as soon as she says spiral energy, Yoko like recognizes the term immediately. Like Yoko has a strong reaction to it, and Palutena just like, Zelda's like right on the mark, like. Is it possible that Yoko is from one of those other dimensions? And then Palutena's like immediately like, yes. Through my watch, I've learned that Demise has brought 3 beings from a different reality into ours. Sethos, and this is where she like talks about them. Sethos, a maniacal demon with extraordinary abilities, a doppelganger to our very own pit. Lafaya, a high-class warrior from the same universe as Sethos. Her mind tricks are unmatched, paired with her raw strength makes her a treacherous foe, and she's a doppelganger to Daisy. And then she's like, the third is you, Yoko. And then Yoko starts going on about how like she doesn't remember anything. And that's when Palutena tells her it's because like you're from a reality unrelated to our own in every way. The same reality where Demise is drawing his power. The mixing of the two universes is causing chaos and threatening the very fabric of our existence. I would imagine that this reality is attempting to erase you like a virus, slowly eating away at what makes you who you are, which explains your memory loss. So Yoko doesn't remember anything because she's essentially like being actively erased over however long of a period of time it's going to take. All right. They talk a little bit more about it. Obviously Zelda's like, she doesn't want that to happen. Palutena's telling her like, we can delay it. Like she can restore she's like, I can restore your memories and delay your erasure, but it will not be enough. Like eventually, like, my meddling will only delay the inevitable. I'm afraid you are tied to Demise while he wields this power. Until we find a way to remove it, your fate is sealed and you will soon cease to exist. So this, brutal. Yeah, this is Yoko is tied to Demise actually. And the only way that she survives is if they figure out how to beat Demise. That's the initial take from this. Right. So obviously this is like news to everyone. Everyone's freaking out. Ike is trying to throw in some rationale and all the other stuff. Let's continue a little bit more. Yeah, so Palutena, like Ike is like telling them like we can't just barge in and fight Demise. We're gonna lose right now. And Palutena's like, yeah, that's right. She's like, This is why I've come before you all today. What you need is more time, and I can give you that. And Pit asks how, and Zelda immediately, again, on the mark. She's like a temporary seal. Like, she knows, like, Zelda's very familiar with Palutena and her abilities and what she can do. So Palutena's offering to, like, you know, pretty much delay demise for them so that they can get their stuff together and what they need to do. You know, there's some concern about it. Impa, the strategist, is asking how long do we have? And Palutena immediately turns to Shadow and is like, I'm gonna leave you my staff. It's gonna be used as a measurement of time. When its light diminishes, you will know that demise has overcome my seal. So she doesn't really know exactly how long. But you know, she's pretty much gonna act now. So she does all that. She departs from them. You know, they said some parting words, and Palutena, like, just glows brightly, and it, like, transitions back to Hyrule, right? And, like, she immediately, like right after that conversation, she, like, reveals herself, right? So now Demise can sense her, you know, and he's like, oh, you finally shown yourself. And then, like, she pops up in his castle, and, like, they have like a confrontation. But Demise kind of realizes that, you know, he can't stop her from sealing him. There's some dialogue between Demise and Palutena that shows, like, familiarity between the two. Where Palutena, like, has, like, a last-ditch effort to talk him out of it. Like, I was trying to, like, make this scene, like, pretty emotional. You know, Palutena saying, like, you are no longer whom I used to know, and telling Demise that they will stop you. Yeah, Demise has, like, some final things to say. You know, you think this will hold me. It doesn't matter how much time you buy, victory will still be in my hands. And then, like, Palutena just continues to glow. The light from her grows brighter and encompasses them both. And the scene ends in a white light. So, like, Demise is, like, sealed again. It cuts back to the cave. Okay. Because, you know, I love cliffhangers. Lucario is walking Link the rest of the way. And at a certain point, Lucario tells him, like, oh, you know, I can't go any further. It's just you from now on. Lucario just, like, suddenly vanishes. That's Lucario's thing in this series. Like, he'll just, like, randomly pop up and disappear. It's kind of funny. Link proceeds through, and then, like, at the end of the cavern, he runs into what everyone is gonna, like, as soon as they see him, everyone's gonna know it's Mewtwo, right? So Mewtwo, in the classic style, he's floating in that, you know, that tank or whatever that we see in the Pokemon movie, and you know, he talks to Link a little bit. They talk about the Hylian goddesses. Mewtwo kind of laughs at it because he's just like, you know, like, they call themselves guardians. That's hilarious. And Mewtwo pretty much tells Link, like, Hylia reached out to me and she wants me to fix you. And so Link is like, oh, so what, like, you're gonna train me or something? And he's like, no, I'm not. Oh, dang it. He's like, no, I'm not gonna be the one that's training you. They are. And then as he says that, where did I leave off? So, like, immediately Link finds himself in a different, like, plane of existence. And he's in, like, this foggy area, you know, classic Zelda style. He's in a different realm or whatever. And as he's walking, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call. 1 second.
Cliffhangered once again.
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh no, that leaves me alone.
No, I'm trying to finish up.
Art.
This is
Look.
all right.
I called you because I thought you were done.
No, sorry, I put it on mute.
I'm driving, so.
Okay.
I never know how to draw.
When you come home,
Well, I
I'll
do know
I'll
how
probably
to draw
still be
Lucario.
in the stream.
Just draw him very
Don't-
stylized.
Perfect, because I wanted to see if I could.
Make him look more like a dog.
Okay, yeah.
But
just-
you know what?
yeah, just
That's
come
my
in.
brand.
Alright, sorry, go.
Like so.
It's like that.
All right, sorry.
You're good. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, I didn't mute my mic. Like
I mean, you
fool.
muted in Discord.
Yeah, I did not think about it. Anyway, you guys got to enjoy my conversation. That's funny.
Exciting.
Yeah.
It was Palutena.
It was Palizana. I meant to mute the actual mic. I just oh man, that's embarrassing. Anyway, let's see here. So yeah, so he gets sent to this other realm, right? And he is just like, he's walking, and he goes, like, he pretty much runs into like the previous incarnations of like the hero, right? So we'll see Link, Ocarina of Time Link, Wind Waker Link, Twilight Princess Link, right? And how that ends up going, it's just like Link is like looking around and he's like, oh my god, like I can't believe it, like, you guys are all, and then like Skyward Sword Link pops up and like confirms that they're the previous incarnations of the first hero. Right?
We're the better.
Yeah, exactly. We're better than we're here to train you. Like Link is gonna get trained by Link.
Linkception.
Linkception. Yeah.
Oh, that drop when I was reading through the scripts originally, I was like, oh, yo.
Yeah, so that's how that was supposed to go, and then all right. So let me see here. Episode 15. Yeah, so episode 15 starts off immediately, like as soon as it starts, you see the aftermath of Palutena's actions, right? Demise and Palutena are like encased in stone. They're essentially like a statue together, right? And then it like the camera ends up showing like Neo, Ganondorf, Althea, and Scourge like in the throne room, like looking at it like, what the heck just happened here?
Like, damn.
Yeah. So Scourge is like freaking out. Neo is telling them, I can tell he's still alive. Ganondorf is like, okay, plans change because Palutena showed her hand. And Althea's like, we don't even have the stinking star rod. So Ganondorf is like, pretty much we got to prepare for the heroes coming back. Oh, excuse me, I'm kind of gassy. I keep burping. But Neo is like, why wait for them to come back when we can intercept them, right? And this is the part where like he's sharing his plan on what they're gonna do. So they start coming up with a plan. Neo is telling Scourge like, since Anarchy Barrel is really close to Chaos Emeralds and like their abilities, that it still has a high enough compatibility rate that they can use it for 2 trips, right? Because like the machine is pretty much almost done. He tells Scourge, I can transport you to Mobius to retrieve the Chaos Emeralds, because after Sonic used them, they went back to Mobius, and he tells Althea, he like kind of speaks in general. He's like, I can send one other person to go interact with our foes. Talk about the heroes. And Ganondorf is like an agreement. He's like, given the circumstance, we can't allow any more setbacks. So he turns to Althea and he pretty much tells Althea like, you're going. Althea is all excited that she gets to go. She even like hugs Ganondorf and then like tosses him aside because she's super strong. Right?
Which I love that so much. Just imagining that, just like, you know what? Good on you, girl. Good on you.
She freaking bear hugs him, lifts him up, and then just like tosses him.
Everyone's just like, oh,
And then like obviously they like follow or whatever. And then so before Althea leaves, Ganondorf gives her a warning, and he's pretty much said, despite how weak Link is right now, don't underestimate him. Don't underestimate him. I'm trusting you understand what needs to be done. So she pretty much, like, Ganondorf pretty much tells Alfea to go kill Link. Right. So now that they're back in space, it's back, like the scene kind of goes back to like right before Palutena left, because like the heroes are still talking in their comms, and you know, a lot of the heroes are kind of just like, because Shadow's like, okay, what's the plan? And a lot of the heroes are like, you know, hey, let's go back. Demise is sealed. We can do this. And then Impa has to remind them, like, you guys didn't even fight Demise. You guys fought like his underlings, and you still lost.
L plus
yeah.
get back.
Yeah. So Impa's like, we got to use this time wisely. You know, no matter how short it is, we can't waste Palutena's sacrifice. And then that's when they all start strategizing. Right. They all start coming up with ideas. And let's see. I'm going to just like summarize it. So basically what most of this is them just realizing that they have to get stronger. Right. And Fox, like Zelda and Yoko, like tell Fox, like, we have no idea what's going on with Link, what's going to happen. Some of us have to stay here. And Fox is like, dang, you're right. And Zelda's like, I'm thinking about what Palutena said. I can't go back to Hyrule. I have to go find these, like, goddesses. Right? I have to go out there and figure out what's going on. And Sonic pretty much, Sonic is pretty much like, you know, I had to get back to Mobius because we have to go get the Chaos Emeralds anyway. And then Zelda's like, I'll go with you because something tells me I'm gonna find the answers that I seek by going with you. So like the party essentially splits in three. Part of them goes back to the Mushroom Kingdom in Hyrule. Part of them stays on the Pokemon planet with Link. And part of them is gonna go to Mobius. Right? I believe so. The part of them that's going to Mobius is Sonic, Falco, Zelda, Amy. Right? And I'm not gonna lie, the only reason why Amy's going is because I got tired of writing her too, so she's gonna stay there. I kind of just wanted to like bring all the essentials just in one place.
She's like, okay, what are the ones that I need the most for the story? The rest of you go back.
Yeah, so Amy's gonna stay in Mobius. And then the ones that stay at the Pokemon planet is Yoko, Samus, and Daisy. Yoko, Samus, Daisy. Yeah, I believe that's it. And obviously Link is there.
Oh jeez.
And then like the rest of them, Marth, Ike, Impa, Fox, whoever's left, they go back to Hyrule and the Mushroom Kingdom. All right, that's pretty much all. Like all of them have a strategy, right? Yep. All right. So literally all that is literally all this.
Plot dump.
Yeah. Okay. And then as they're planning all this, right when they all decide that this is the plan, that's when Dark Link is finally like I just overheard everything you guys said. Like, you know, we're waiting for you.
Sorry about that.
Yep. And then like that's when he like finally confronts Shadow and Gino, and they're about to fight. But like the fight is like really short, you know. Shadow and Gino like realize really fast that they can't take on Dark Link. And what ends up happening is that, you know, Shadow gets tossed around a little bit, Gino gets tossed around a little bit, and then Gino blows up the freaking computer, the communication computer, because that's one of the only ways that, you know, they can get in contact with the other people. He didn't want like the bad guys or the villains to use it. Blows up the computer and essentially like blows a hole in the floor, and him and Shadow jump down that hole, and that's how they escape.
I just like the moment where it's just they're just talking about like, oh, this dude's really strong, and then Dark just appears right next to him. He's like, hey, what you talking about?
Yeah. See, like literally. Oh, and that was right when Shadow was about to tell Peach that Mario's alive.
Right.
So he's like Peach about Mario, like because
like,
before that, Peach is like, you know, we have to save him. That's what Mario would do. And then Shadow's like, one last thing.
So like, oh, I should have started with
Yeah,
that.
I should have led with that. So yeah, so he's like, it's like he was about to tell her like Mario's still alive, and that's what Darkling was like. Oh, so you're all coming back? Not that it wasn't expected. Yeah, so they all have like this short battle, whatever. They escape. It goes back to the ship or whatever, and then like immediately after that, Falco's like, yo, we're getting some strange readings on the computer, because he sent like the ship picks up on this surge of energy that's like heading right towards him, and then like this like weird like think of the freaking Bifrost from Thor, right? Just shooting like this colorful beam of energy at the Pokemon planet, right? And that's like the transportation device. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. My wife just came home. So
Hi guys. Yo.
yeah, when you called, I thought I muted, and I didn't mute. They heard a whole phone conversation.
That's fine.
But yeah, so yeah, she literally walked in, gave me candy and a drink, so I'm pretty happy right now.
Nice.
Yeah, so think of the Bifrost from Thor. Shoots past the ship, lands somewhere on the planet, and then like coming out of that light is Lafayette and a bunch of like I couldn't decide, but I think I was leaning towards Yiga members or both, because I really want to use like the Twilight monsters from Twilight Princess and Yiga members, like as like the grunt foot soldiers of like Demise's army. But
I
essentially,
mean, it would.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, essentially it was going to be a mix of like Zelda creatures and Zelda enemies from different games. Right? Yeah, so Lafayette pops up with her entourage, and she's pretty much like, go find them. And then all like the enemies and whatever like run into the trees and go find like Link and whatever. It cuts back to the ship. And Impa's like, this doesn't look good, and Fox is like straight up like, because it's not. And he's like, yeah. So he's like picking up. He's like, these readings show like temporal displacement, and Sonic is obviously not smart, so he's like, yo, English, and like everything.
Wait. Sonic's obviously not smart. What a sentence.
Well, okay, I wouldn't say he's not smart, but you know what I was saying. You know what I was trying to say. Right? He's not
Sonic being a dumbass.
He's like, and like everything in the scene is like super tense, so everyone's yelling. And Fox is like, someone teleported and followed us here. So that means like, because Zelda is still on the planet, but she's supposed to be going with Sonic to Mobius. So the plan was Sonic and Falco had to fly down there, get Zelda, and then go to Mobius. But now they really have to go like now.
Right now.
Right now. So they go. Yeah. So they go, whatever. Amy goes with them. And literally, like, Amy wasn't even part of, like, the original plan. She just, like, ran in there. She's like, wait, I'm coming, too.
Wait for me!
Right. And, like, no one cared. They're like, yeah, go. They're like, yeah, just go. We don't, you're not really contributing much here anyway. Just go. So they all go, whatever. Let's see. Impa's, like, about to, like, go down there with them. But Zelda's like, no, like, you need to go back to Hyrule. And blah, blah, blah. And that's when Peach, like, tells Daisy to stay down there with them. And this is kind of like when you start to see, like, Daisy get more, like, action and all that other stuff in the series. Yeah, that's just because I was running into audio issues and I couldn't figure out. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not using it. You can unplug it and put it back. I even got desperate to the point I was about to use this boy's Bluey headset. Yeah, so they're about to. So they split up, right? Like I said, how it was earlier. Samus, Yoko, Daisy, and Link on the Pokemon planet, and then Zelda, Falco, Sonic, Amy are going to Mobius, and then the rest are going back to Hyrule. And that's how that episode's end. Like, everyone's frantic and trying to figure out what the heck to do. Dang, where's episode 16? Why does it jump straight to episode 17? What's in episode 17? Oh, that's the one I started writing. Yeah, so I don't have this one written up. Alright, so episode 16, I don't know why it's not here. Oh, that's the recently edited. Ah, here it is, right here.
Hey.
Yeah. Episode 16. So, after this conversation, they go to, like, the cave. Right? And this is where, like, they, like, are about to, like, force themselves to go see Link, right? Zelda tells Yoko, like, hey, I need to go talk to Link alone. Okay? And, like, Yoko is awkward about it because, like, she knows Zelda has a thing for Link, right? But she also has a thing for Link. And this is where, like, you see some of that love triangle dynamic, like, come into effect. But, she's, like, cool with Zelda. So she's like, oh, yeah, go ahead, blah, blah, blah. So Zelda goes in. Let's see here. So once Zelda goes in, Yoko's just like standing around doing nothing, right? Then it's like a replay of like when they first got there. She hears a noise. She turns around. All right, we'll catch you later, Cisco. Hopefully you can catch the rest of it when we're done. I would love for you to know how this story ends, and then tell me how you feel about it later. So, Yoko's like left alone, right? And she hears a noise, and she goes over to investigate, and she like suddenly, like out of nowhere. Cause like she sees something in the distance and she doesn't know what it is, and then suddenly like something like grabs her from behind, right? And she turns around and she sees that it's Samus, and she's like, "What the heck?" And Samus pretty much tells her to be quiet, and there's like a small scuffle that takes place. A Yiga member pops up and is like grappling with Samus or whatever. Like catches her by surprise. Her gun like scatters, right? And she's wrestling with this Yiga member that's trying to kill her while trying to grab the blaster. And before she can even do it, Yoko grabs it and like shoots the Yiga member. And from that, like Samus is like, you're pretty good with the gun, right? And this is important because in the Gurren Lagann anime, that's like Yoko's like main weapon. She uses a rifle, but she's in one of the scenes she like uses a pistol too. But she's really good with those types of weapons, right? So this little exchange is supposed to be showing like more of Yoko's identity being revealed slowly. Because like after that, Samus is really weird in this series. Like she's like really quiet, really weird. She's not really socially aware because she's a lone bounty hunter that probably doesn't talk to a lot of people.
Doesn't have that many social cues.
Yeah, she's like very awkward. And she like immediately just like grabs Yoko's hands and just starts staring at them. And obviously Yoko's weirded out, so she like pulls back. She's like, "What the heck are you doing?" And Samus is like based off of your hands, I can tell. And she's like, judging by those calluses, I'm assuming some sort of rifle, because she's like because she had asked All right, let me just read the script because I'm losing myself. Yeah. Samus holsters her weapons and looks at Yoko before grabbing her hands and examining them. And then Yoko is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she pulls her arms back like quickly, and glares at Samus. And then Samus immediately asks her like, "Oh, you shoot?" And Yoko's like, "What?" And Samus is like, "Your hands. Judging by those calluses, I'm assuming some sort of rifle." Right? And that for people who know Yoko's character, that was just going to be like the nudge to like, oh shoot, like they're starting to figure her out. So Yoko's like obviously very confused or whatever, but like they hear more noise because they're being hunted by these Zelda enemy things, and they take off running. Yoko's like, wait, what about Zelda? Because she just went to the cave and she's by herself, and Samus like, don't worry, Daisy's got that covered, right? And so the scene, like, I was gonna put a shot of like Daisy, like on some like Naruto Hokage junk, just like looking from a high point down or something with her arms crossed. I don't know. Like it was just supposed to be some
She's
shot.
pulling a shadow. She's pulling.
Yeah, it was just supposed pulling a shadow, pulling a Piccolo, like Yeah. So then it cuts to Zelda walking back deeper in the cave. Lucario meets up with her, and again he's like, "You shouldn't be here." And Zelda's like, "The situation's changed. I need to get through." And as they're talking, it's like Lucario receives a message from like Mewtwo, and then yeah, he received aura farming. She receives permission to go forward her. So she goes through. Oh wait, no, sorry. That was part of the old script I wrote, that he got permission to let her through. And this one, because of like the planet getting attacked, he's like, I don't have the time to stop you, but I know you need to talk to Link, but when you see him, you're gonna realize your request will be unfulfilled. And she's like, why is that? And he's like, pretty much like, go and find out for yourself. So again, Lucario does his disappearing act because like Zelda like turns to look down the rest of the she glances down the cavern and then like turns back to look at Lucario, and he's gone again.
As Lucario does.
So she begins to wander further into the cave, and she reaches that chamber where that where that glass tube was, where Mewtwo was in. But instead of Mewtwo being in there, Link is now in there. All right. So Zelda obviously thinks something happened to Link, and like she runs up to the glass and like she places her hands on it to try to figure out what to do. Mewtwo pops up and he's like, don't worry about it. He's good. Zelda recognizes him, and they talk for a little bit. He's pleased with her manners because he's like, at least one of you has manners. And then Mewtwo is kind of like, no, because like Zelda's like, can he hear us? And Mewtwo's like, no, like unlikely. But Mewtwo like looks at her again, and he's like, but I don't think you came here for him. You came here for yourself. All right, to pretty much assert your confidence in the path you've chosen. All right, and Zelda doesn't really say anything at that, but Mewtwo kind of gets the hint, and he vanishes, giving them some privacy. And then Zelda like tells Link a whole bunch of stuff, and pretty much like here, I'll just read it. She's like, Link, I feel like it'll be a long time before we see each other again. There are many things I want to say, so much I've kept bottled in. I've watched your back as you led us all in pressing times. You were always so bright and amazing, and then after Father died, I couldn't help but depend on you. I'm wondering if I pushed too much. I relied on you without considering how you may have felt, how this great responsibility weighed on your shoulders. I tried to make you into something you weren't ready for, and I'm sorry. And then, what's it called? And then she continues. She's like, back on the ship, I told you that you needed to find out who you truly are, and I think that goes for me as well. Your trial must be a great one, but I know you'll succeed. I know you'll pull through. Until then, we'll all be waiting. And then she pretty much like professes her love for him. Right? And then,
Girl, you can do better.
You said what?
I mean, what? Who said that?
You said what?
Girl, you can do so much better. But I didn't say that.
Well, she probably could, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. Link is not the greatest in this series. Yeah. And then, she leaves and all that other stuff. And as she's leaving, there's a figure at the mouth of the cave. And she thinks it's Daisy. Right? And mind you, prior to this, Zelda has never seen Lefaya before. So when it's revealed that it's Lefaya, she's like, "Who the heck are you?"
It's like, wait, you look familiar.
Yeah. And so like they have like a stare off or whatever, and like Lefaya has like this line because like Zelda's like, because Lefaya asks her like, "Oh, is Link in there?" And Zelda's like, "What's it to you?" And she's like, "Oh, death, murder, the main reason I'm here." And then
just girl things.
Yeah, and then as Lefaya starts walking into the mouth of the cave, she senses something behind her and she ducks. And as she ducks, Daisy like flies in and like I don't even know what to call it, like a freaking rocket kick or whichever.
Daisy kick.
Yeah, let's call it a Daisy kick. And then like lands near Zelda and she's like super irritated because she missed. Right? So Lefaya and Daisy have like this back and forth. At this point we know they're doppelgangers, so Lefaya acknowledges like oh damn, you really do look like me. Like she has nostalgia now because Daisy looks like what she used to look like, right? And they start to fight. Lefaya's underestimating Daisy, but you really start to see like how powerful Lefaya really is. But at the same time, Daisy is like almost up to par. Right.
A whole talking to myself scene.
Right. Because at this point, Lefaya is kind of like not really expecting any of them to be strong because like we haven't seen Daisy do any action until the whole time. I just saw Stevie's thing from what you commented. Yeah, that would have been a whole talking to yourself because you're the voice actors for both. Yeah, so they were like going back and forth with each other. They start fighting, and it's just like just this whole thing. Like they, Lefaya's underestimating Daisy, and then Daisy finally like gets like a good hit in. Right. Because she kicks like, oh, it's right here. Yeah, Lefaya attempts to punch Daisy in the gut with her free hand, but Daisy catches it. Daisy smirks before leaning her head back and headbutting Lefaya in the face. Lefaya staggers back, and Daisy takes the opportunity to kick her in the gut and sends her outside the mouth of the cave into the greenery below. Right. And then like Zelda and Daisy like peer over the edge. It's supposed to be like a funny shot.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. And then Zelda's literally just like, wow.
Just like, could you always do this?
Yep. And she like makes a comment like, "Oh, the Mushroom Kingdom continues to surprise me." Okay. And then, surprise, Lucario pops back up again.
As he does.
Yep. And he like pretty much tells her like, Link will be okay. They won't be able to penetrate the barrier. Yeah, because our guardian is in there, and they're not stronger than our guardian. He'll be all right. And then that's when they depart. Zelda walks away. It goes back to Sam. So Samus, this is one of those scenes I really want to animate, right? So Samus and Yoko are atop of a hill overlooking the forest below. Samus is handling a sniper rifle type of weapon and setting it up on a mount. And Yoko's like, "So what exactly do you want me to do?" And Samus is like, "Shoot." Like this is the part where like Samus recognizes that Yoko can shoot. Like she's not playing around. And Yoko, because of her memory being lost, she's like, "I've never shot a weapon before."
Samus is like,
Yeah. And Samus is just like, Impa pretty much gave me the rundown. You don't have your memories, so you don't know what you're capable of. And, she's like, only someone familiar with firearms could have blasted my rifle because it's not an easy thing to do. Okay. So she observes Yoko, and Yoko's literally like putting this rifle together in all the correct ways, like sheer muscle memory, right? And but Yoko's not realizing she's even doing it right, and she kind of just like she leans into the lens and she like looks, and she's like, "What the heck is that?" And she sees one of the like shadow beasts from Twilight Princess, like running in a direction. Yoko follows that direction and like sees Daisy and Lafayette like still fighting. So they're like going blow for blow. Lafayette jumps a few feet backwards and Daisy like leaps after her. So Daisy's like mid-air, and as soon as she's in mid-air, a shadow beast lunges from the foliage and is about to like literally like catch Daisy by surprise. And Daisy's mid-air, so she can't evade. But out of nowhere, bam, gunshot. The shadow beast like dissipates into the air. Lafayette doesn't know what the heck is going on. And then the camera like zooms back towards Yoko, and she's like super shocked. But Samus is smiling.
She's like, wait.
Yeah, she's like, see, I told you. And then like immediately from there, Yoko is like back into it. Like she goes back into the rifle. She naturally looks for her next target, and she's just like taking out like all these enemies from far. Lafayette is like glaring in Yoko's direction, and she doesn't realize like Daisy is like literally on her. Yeah, so like they fight for a bit. Let's see. And then like after this whole incident, Lafayette is pretty much like, you guys just bought yourself another day. This isn't over. And then she like disappears. That's the end of that. Now, then it cuts. Like I said, was it only one Shadow Beast? No, it's I don't know like that particular detail right off the top of my head. I think for that point it would have just been one. Yeah, I think it would have just been one. But not everything in here is would have been like super lore accurate. Like I said like earlier in the stream, I don't think I ever wanted to just make things like super lore accurate, just for the creative freedom, and not being too stuck. Let's see here. Oh, Leaf will be right back. I will proceed. So, alright, where are we now? So, now we cut to a scene of, like, Zelda running through a forest path. And she's being chased by, like, more Zelda thingies. And, like, a lot of descriptions I put here, a small horde of Shadow Beast and Yiga members. Like, for the most part, these are just placeholders. Because I really didn't know what enemies from the Zelda series I was going to use. It could have been, like, a variation. Oops, I just scratched my microphone. It could have been a variation of like, different monsters from different games. I don't know. Because really, I didn't know what models were even out there that I could utilize. So, but Zelda's essentially running. She's trying to get onto the ship that everyone else came on so she can get up and go. Right. They park kind of far. And let's summarize a little bit over here. Yeah. The same Pikachu that met them when they first arrived is like running beside her. And Zelda kind of gets the notion that the Pikachu is there to help. And, that gives her enough time. Alright. Pikachu essentially thunderbolts them. And that gives Zelda enough time to catch up with Sonic and Falco. And they get on the ship, yada yada yada. They take off, right? After all this, like it goes to like nighttime. Daisy, Samus, and Yoko are by a campfire. They're talking about everything that just happened, and in the middle of their conversation, Yoko is like talking about how she felt when she was firing that rifle. It made her feel like something was finally going to reveal itself, and then just like that, it was gone. Like something stopped her from remembering. And, they go back to that whole, like, oh, the world's trying to erase me type thing, blah, blah, blah. And then, as they're talking, they talk about, like, Shadow and stuff for a bit, because Daisy does not like Shadow. And they're kind of just like, they got that camaraderie going on. They're about to sleep, and then Lucario pops up. Again. Because, he keeps doing that disappear, reappear thing. And he starts pretty much telling them, like, you guys need help. You know, you're not going to take out these intruders with your current strength. And, you know, that, like, Mewtwo pops up too, because, like, they're literally, like, about to fight Lucario. And then Mewtwo pops up. And Mewtwo, like, kind of interjects or whatever. And he's having, like, a hard conversation with Yoko about her memories. And then, you know, Mewtwo pretty much tells Lucario that you're going to train Princess Daisy. And that Mewtwo is going to work with Yoko in terms of, like, getting her memories back, because there's some significance to her getting her memory back, right? Because he's like, nothing in this universe can exist without its tether, as is the same in all universes. You are not from here, yet you've remained among us for quite some time. So what binds you? That is what we must find out, and the answer lies in your memories, right? So Mewtwo is pretty much telling her she has to get her memories back so they can figure out how to save her, because it's there somewhere. Oh yeah, then there's supposed to be like a Gurren quote that I was gonna put in there, because one of the early episodes I had like a short clip of Kamina's voice pop up, and that was just supposed to like signify the start of her kind of getting her memories back. But I ended up going with a different idea, so like that voice clip is still like, you know, significant, but not the same as what it was going to be significant for, if that makes any sense. Oh, and then, so that is the latest script I've written. So now we can finally get into all those questions from this point of the story to the end.
Man, it's crazy that it just, you know, it's coming down to this. It's trippy.
Yeah, because like after this, so like, I mean, you can kind of see where it's all going. There's your, you know, cliche training arc about to start, right? Everyone's kind of gonna get their own like sort of like teacher or trial. Daisy just got paired with Lucario, right? For certain people like Marth and Ike, they're gonna get trained by Impa, right? Sonic is going to Mobius, and more than likely he's gonna get a power boost while he's there, right? Link is training with the other Links, so that's you know, he's gonna leave with something there. So everyone's kind of getting the opportunity to get like a power boost, right? Excuse me. So from that, we could tell that there's going to be like a lot more conflicts from this part. Like, well, there were going to be a lot more conflicts from this part of the story to the end. Everyone's gearing up for some fight. You know, the ones that go back to the Mushroom Kingdom in Hyrule. That is, you know, they're going to be fighting a lot of the foot soldiers and things like that, and preparing for when the rest of the team gets there. So there were going to be like a lot of not a lot of side quests, but whatever I could fit in. Like there was going to be, and I couldn't decide if I was going to make this an actual episode or if I was going to have this as like a one-off short on the side to kind of like complement the series. But Impa essentially goes back to like Hyrule and begins building the army back up, right? She starts to find a lot of the scattered soldiers, because after Demise took over Hyrule, like obviously everyone kind of just like dispersed and everything fell apart. So she starts to get them back in line, and then she tells herself that, you know, no, we need more. We can't just have the Hylian soldiers and that just be the army. Like we need more. This is a bigger threat than anything. And they actually were gonna like begin recruiting like various creatures throughout the Zelda series, like the Zoras, the Gorons, right? I wasn't gonna like show all of that because obviously that's a lot to do, but it was just gonna get mentioned that, you know, they secured the assistance of the Zoras, they secured this assistance of the Gorons, and then Impa was like, no, we need more. And then Marth, because he's familiar with Hyrule at this point, he kind of gets an idea of what Impa's thinking about, and he's like, no, you can't be serious. And then it cuts to the scene of them like arriving at the Deku Palace, and it's just like I don't know how many people have played Majora's Mask, but that Deku Palace theme just lives in my head a lot. And this whole idea came from just their theme. And it's like they were gonna arrive at the Deku Palace. There's this huge like party going on, right? All the Deku people are like dancing or whatever, and Impa pretty much has to convince the king to lend his aid. I don't know, how she was gonna get that, but
You can only get my aid if you beat me in a dance battle.
yeah,
or a dance
something like
game.
that. I don't know, something stupid. And essentially they were gonna recruit the Dekus to fight alongside them when the time came. Right. So everything's kind of like leading up to that. I'm just gonna like start going. Oh, look at Beast Sethos and Lafayette.
He's silly. I like him. Like I love the description of like, yeah, he kind of loses his mind, but I just draw him. I'm like, yeah, he's a softie with Lafayette.
Yep. And then so like Sonic's side. So like Sonic's side of the journey. They go to Mobius, right? When they get to Mobius, they realize that Scourge is there, because Lafayette and Scourge got teleported essentially at the same time, right? But Scourge got teleported to Mobius, so they realize Scourge is there, and everyone is like actively dealing with that issue. So they get to Mobius. Obviously, the first person Sonic's going to go to is Tails. Right? Tails brings him up to speed of what's going on. The Scourge has done this, done that, blah, blah, blah. Eggman's obviously, Dr. Robotnik's obviously still alive, so Scourge is a threat to everybody. So, in classic fashion, they're working together with Dr. Robotnik. They kind of like bring Sonic and them up to speed that Scourge is trying to take over Angel Island, get the Master Emerald, but like Knuckles is holding it down. So now they have to like pretty much prevent Scourge from getting it. But even that, so like I only have the highlights for that, right? I didn't really write what was going to happen between those highlights. But it essentially went that there was going to be a round 2 fight between Scourge and Sonic, right? And either during that fight or before that fight, that's when Sonic gets his boost, right? Because Tails has been working on an invention that's supposed to harness the power of the emeralds so that they don't continuously need to use the emeralds, things like that. And then something happens with the Master Emerald that ends up giving Sonic this big power boost, and he's able to like fend off Scourge and send him back. Right? So that's their version of that story in a nutshell. Like that's how Sonic gets stronger. Who else am I missing? Who else am I missing?
I mean, Yoko was training back at the Pokemon place.
Yeah, I think that's
Same. Yeah, I think.
I think that's it. I think that's the best amount of context I can give for now, and I think let's dive into those story ending questions.
Awesome. All right. Oh, I got a message. That's on there. It's fine. Okay, so we got that. Let's see. Okay. This is from Speed Demon 1939, or just Speed. Off the top of my head, I guess my biggest question is, were Link and Yoko going to get together by the end of the series, or was it going to be a more bittersweet ending where Yoko would get sent back to her own world at the end? I mean, that was already kind of answered.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious if you had planned to have any of the main characters killed before the end of the series, and which ones, which is also one of my questions. Who doesn't make it? Who doesn't make it in the end?
All right, so are we talking just the hero side or villain side too?
Let's start just hero's side.
Hero side. So obviously there's a huge battle at the end of the series, right? And like in my head, it's like a huge battle. I have no idea how I was gonna make it a reality, but I figured I'd just deal with it when I got there. But it's a huge battle, like all out war, and obviously, like a lot of the characters get injured, but there are a few deaths, right? Like Marth dies.
Really?
Yeah, Marth is supposed to die.
Oh man.
Man, I don't know if I should say the next one without jumping so far into it. Oh, but I guess it's okay. We're at the end here. Because if I keep dodging it, we're just gonna be here forever. So back to the part about what he asked about Yoko, right? So yeah, earlier we said Link doesn't end up with either, right? And we had said because one, Yoko gets sent back, and then because he doesn't end up with Zelda, we said something else happens, right? And the reason is because Zelda dies.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling.
Yeah, there's like a confrontation, and it kind of like it's like the turning point to the end of the conflict with Demise. So Zelda essentially like places herself between Link and Demise during their battle, right? And because like another thing I really like, I like rage moments. So I always was gonna have a rage moment. It's multiple times in the series, and this is just gonna be like a Link rage moment part 2.
Part 2.
And yeah, like she pretty much gets like impaled by Demise's sword, which is a horrible way to go if you really think about it. Have people ever seen Demise's sword? Like, this thing just looks so insanely brutal, like, and huge. So yeah, so that happens to her, and she kind of like, she has like some words to say to Link, and then Link kind of like just gives himself completely over to like fierce deity or whatever, and then like there's a intense fight between the fierce deity Link and Demise, right? Because at this point Demise is pretty weakened because he doesn't have that access to the spiral energy because of the fact that when Yoko goes back home, she takes the power back with her.
Right.
And they end up like figuring out, because before they thought that they had to defeat Demise to save Yoko, but then like they later find out that like Yoko is not tethered to Demise, or like the power Demise has. It's the other way around, right? Where the power, like Yoko is a tether for the power, and if Yoko leaves, the power leaves.
Oh.
Yeah. And so like after they figure that out, they just had to figure out how to get Yoko back. And like, of course,
they're like, okay, we got to do this fast.
Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of reluctance, right? Because
right,
Link doesn't want Yoko to go and all that other stuff. But Yoko pretty much makes the decision. She's like, nah, like I gotta go. People are dying, Like, I like you, dude, but it's whatever. I'm not gonna remember you when I get to the other side.
Like my home and you, I'm choosing my home.
Yeah, but they kind of all come to the fact that like, if I stay here, I'm gonna die anyway. All right, I'm gonna get erased. So, regardless, I have to go. So yeah, once she leaves, that's when Demise loses that edge that he has. I mean, he's still powerful without it. But it's definitely like, now it's just like a regular, showdown versus, I don't even know the word for it. Versus
Massacre?
versus in terms of like power scaling, right? Now that like the power, like the scale of power has gone down now. Like now Demise is not some, being that's capable of like interdimensional feats and things like that. Now he's just stuck in his dimension. He can only influence his dimension.
Right.
Yeah, he's still strong, but he's cut off from all that extra power. Right. And then him and Link are fighting, and then that's when like Zelda gets in between them because like he's literally about to kill Link. And then, you know, from her sacrifice, that's when he enables the fierce deity mode and pretty much like overpowers Demise until it stops. But there's like a whole bunch of other stuff that's supposed to happen. That's literally like the end.
Yeah, the footnotes version.
Yeah. So there's literally like a bunch of stuff that's supposed to happen. Like,
Do tell, please.
so there's a point in the story where, like, again, like during like the final fights or whatever, where Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf actually work together.
Really?
Yeah, because, all right, so remember in episode, I think 10, in whatever episode it was, where Demise had to scare Dark Link, and he was like, you know, I question your loyalty.
Right. Yeah.
And then he tells Ganondorf, there's a job I have for you that requires your specific skills. And then they vanish into like a portal. Right? And so I was going to go back to that scene. So after they stepped into that portal, Demise literally betrays Ganondorf, like after they went through the portal. And because he wants Ganondorf's like side of the Triforce. Right?
Right.
Like he doesn't trust Ganondorf with it because like if Ganondorf decides to betray him, there's some power there that can be used against him. So he betrays Ganondorf by literally like binding him into like a small pocket dimension.
Ooh.
So the Ganondorf that we see from like that moment on is not really Ganondorf.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a Phantom Ganon, sort of.
You said what?
It's kind of like a Phantom Ganon, but you know, but less
No,
obvious.
No, it's that one creepy guy, Girahim.
Oh.
Yeah, but just like transformed to like look like Ganondorf.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me happy. I freaking love Girahim.
He's so creepy.
Oh, he's silly. I like him. He's fabulous, but you know, scary.
Yeah. And actually, he's the one that actually ends up killing Marth.
Oh.
Because him and Marth fight during like one of the battles, but he fights Marth as Ganondorf, and like this is when they find out like Ganondorf's been betrayed because there's a small party that like infiltrates Hyrule Castle to try and because there's a part where they're trying to because even though like at this point in the story like the heroes have accomplished a lot, they're still trying to get like the Hylian goddesses to come down and like intervene. And because like I have to backtrack actually. Would you have animated Ganondorf with tongue skills?
Dude.
that actually would be a creepy like scene, but I think it could complement like the reveal.
It's creepy. Ooh, I don't like it.
So, but actually, I have to backtrack a little bit because I forgot. Because that's who I was forgetting, Zelda. So, when they're at Mobius, like when Sonic gets his power up or whatever, there's a part where Zelda gets access to that pocket dimension that we see like early in the series. And that pocket dimension is what's left of a previous world that had their balance like manipulated, like kind of like what's happening now, like with Yoko being there and all that other stuff. But it didn't get fixed, so that little pocket is all that's left, or all that got saved. And in it, she meets with because I don't know if people know, but that little like green orb, that's like that whole field is called like Venus Lighthouse, and it's from this game called Golden Sun, one of my favorite games ever. And I really wanted to like bring some of those characters into the story a little bit, but like there's no real good models for them or anything like that, even like outside of like other places, because the game is like not really that known nowadays, and there's no remake for it. The only 3D model that I found is Isaac's model from Brawl as an assist trophy, right?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so I was just gonna have him make a cameo where he actually meets Zelda in that pocket dimension, and then like he kind of like gives her the rundown of who he is, where she is, what this pocket dimension is, and through him she gains the ability to find like the Hylian goddesses. And then when she first meets them, like she's very disappointed because they're nothing like what they thought they would be, and they're very like childish, and they don't want to come help and all this other stuff, like
Right.
yeah.
I mean, they weren't supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah, and then she has like this moment where she just like erupts on them, and then and then that's like why Hylia pretty much like abandoned the goddesses in general.
Because they suck.
Yeah, because they suck. So but through them she does learn something useful, and she learns that Hylia isn't like yeah, Hylia's spirit reincarnates, but there's a way to summon her, right? And that's how they find out that it's within Hyrule Castle where they need to they need to go to break a particular seal so that Hylia can appear, right? And that's why like when the final battle is happening, there's a small party of the heroes that are infiltrating Hyrule Castle while Demise is like outside wreaking havoc, and they're trying to find this relic. I haven't decided fully on what the relic would be, but they initially need to get the relic, break it, and release Hylia. And while they're that small party was gonna be like some of the small, like this, not smaller, but some of the, I guess, less important characters, are not main characters, like a lot of the side characters. So like, I'm sorry, Mario, Luigi.
Amy.
It was probably gonna be Mario, Luigi, because I hate writing them and animating them. But at the same time, I do want to give them something,
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be like characters like Gaz and Mario, Luigi, maybe Gino, like like a small party of them. And as they're going through, they find Ganondorf like chained up and sealed. And once they find him, they communicate with everyone else that's fighting on the battlefield, like, hey, like Ganondorf is in here, and they're like, no, Ganondorf's out here, and then that's when it gets revealed that it's not.
If you're not Ganondorf,
Yeah.
then who is Ganondorf?
He kind of gets like, oh, I'm found out. Then maybe he can do that weird tongue thing that Alex recommended. So that's how that happens. But I mean, there's a few things we talked about too, like obviously some of the villains are not going to survive, right?
Right. I'm so like deathly curious. I'm like, and we talked about this in DMs, and I mean, this kind of like gets sidetracked, but with like, you mentioned one like a fight between Ganondorf and Sethos, and two, another like iteration, not an iteration, but a scene with B Sethos again.
Yeah, so Ganondorf and Sethos, that I've never like fully committed to, like the idea, but if I did, how it would go, it would be if Sethos, I mean, like once they realize that that's not Ganondorf, like the heroes do, like obviously like Sethos and Lefaya already know, because they're in that inner circle with Demise, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the villains that have like undying loyalty to Demise. right? So they know that that's not Ganondorf, and once it gets revealed, and obviously Ganondorf gets freed, and comes to the battlefield, and all that stuff. So Ganondorf ends up fighting with the heroes, and he'll fight Sethos, right? While he's fighting Sethos, um, Daisy and Impa are actually fighting Lafaya, right?
Oh, so it would be that same scene.
Yeah, and that those two things are happening at the same time, right? And I I take huge inspiration for future fight scenes with a lot of like anime like fights that I've that I've seen before. So for Lafaya, for Impa, Daisy, and Lafaya. Wait, hold on 1 second, all right? I'm sorry.
I think I might draw tongue skills Ganondorf, please. That would be terrifying. Man. Oof. That's trippy that, like, Ganondorf gets got. Let's see. I don't really have any other Chronicles. I mean, I do, but they're all different. I drew them as animals because I am cringe. I am cringe. I am free.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Okay, so where did I leave off? Yeah, so Impa and Daisy actually end up fighting Lafaya. Like it's a 2-on-1 because, like, even though Daisy gets a little instruction from Lucario, Lafaya is still like pretty strong when she goes all out, right? And I take a lot of inspiration from like anime fights, but I think this one I was gonna go so far as to point to where it's literally like a play by play almost copy, just because I like this fight scene so much. But it's when Naruto and Sasuke fight what's his name, Momoshiki, from the not the Boruto movie but the series. But like I love that fight scene so much because there's a lot of like hand to hand in it, right? And like not the whole fight scene, but just like literally like the end part of it. All right, close to the end part of it.
I need to look up that fight scene.
I got you. I'll send it to you when we're done. But
Awesome.
obviously like toned down a little bit because I didn't want to, they're not gonna be teleporting or anything like that. But yeah, there's gonna be that, and at the end of that fight, obviously Impa and Daisy come out as the victors, and Lafaya actually like dies from this fight.
Ooh.
Right? Yeah, they get her, like they figure out that if they destroy that little thing on her, her necklace or her choker or whatever. I think before it was like a gem like on her, but with the redesign now it's like on the choker. Right? Yeah, so they realize that that's really what Lafaya is, and so they get that and they destroy it, and then Lafaya's gone. And since Sethos and Lafaya are linked, Sethos immediately knows that she's gone. And this dude like snaps. And remember earlier I mentioned like the two ways for Sethos to go into his beast form was by Lafaya's permission or to break his halo.
Right.
But
would that be that last moment?
The breaking his halo is permanent. So because like now that she's gone, he's kind of just like there's nothing else. So he grabs his halo and like just like shatters it. And like, then obviously like he transforms into his his beast / dragon form, and he kind of just like ignores Ganondorf and just like takes off into the sky. And in the sky, there's an aerial battle going on. You know, you got Fox and Wolf with their R wings and all that other stuff. I mean, they're not fighting each other, but like there's other. So like Metal Sonic ends up creating like a lot of like, I guess aerial style robots. I don't know. I haven't decided what it was going to be. It was either going to be that or like airborne enemies, right? It would just really just boil down to what resources I was I had available to me at the time. And so they were gonna have this aerial battle, and in the middle of this aerial battle, Sethos just like pops up, and obviously Fox is freaking out. He's like, "What the hell is that?" And then,
Like, oh, there's something else here.
And then Wolf reveals like in this moment, he's like, "Hey, remember when I tell you they took out my crew?" And then Fox is like pretty much like, "Yeah, what about it?" And he's like pretty much like tells him like Sethos is the one that did it.
Right? Like that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that took my crew out. Right. Before that, he didn't know. Like he didn't know it was Sethos. Right. But now that he sees it, he's like, "Yo, oh shoot! Like there it is." That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing that took my crew out. So they're having like now there's like this flight escape scene. Sethos is obviously chasing them, right? And he's like killing them in the air. And Wolf and Fox literally have to come up with a like strategy to take this guy down. I don't know what that strategy is. I didn't get that far, but
it would happen.
Yeah, it would happen. Essentially, they take care of Sethos. I mean, eventually they take care of Sethos. I don't know how, but they do it.
Because of plot convenience, they would beat him.
They got plot armor. That's it. But more than likely, it'll have to do with something in space. I don't know. Like another fight that's happening around that time is so we've got two heroes from the Sonic universe and two villains from the Sonic universe: Metal Sonic and Scourge, and then Shadow and Sonic, right? Or Sonic and Shadow. Sonic and Shadow are fighting like Scourge, like together, right? Like they're like flooring this dude. Like Scourge is getting beat up. Okay, like Scourge is getting handled, right? And what really ends up happening is like Metal Sonic like tells Scourge that he's inferior and like absorbs him.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like a fusion with Metal Sonic and Scourge. And now
Metal Scourge.
Yeah, and now Sonic and Shadow have to fight this fusion or whatever. That's like almost more than they can handle. They're pretty much going like toe to toe. And that's just another fight like I haven't mapped out entirely, but obviously they fight him. You know, they obviously figure out how to beat him. An idea that I had is that they end up figuring out how to like separate them. They figure out how to separate them, and then Scourge like ends up fighting alongside them to get rid of Metal Sonic. That was one thing I was thinking about, but I don't know. I haven't solidified it.
Right. Scourge eats a tin can.
No, the tin can eats Scourge. It's the other way around.
It's like that old Flash game. Can your pet? Can your Scourge?
Yeah. The tin can has a consciousness and all that other stuff. But yeah, so they all do that. And then like there's a part. So before all the like big battles happen, there's a part where like the heroes are just like overwhelming the villain's army, and it like looks super optimistic. But we all know from all the shows we watch that that's never a good sign, right?
Right.
So they're doing all that. They think they're winning, you know, and then that's when Demise makes his entrance, right? And there's this really cool entrance from like the Star Wars comics, and I love Star Wars. From the Star Wars comics that I wanted to like give a good nod to. And it's like, it's kind of like Darth Vader just wipes out like a small army by himself. And he just says like this really cool quote. You know, one of the soldiers is like, you know, hey, you're surrounded. And Darth Vader is like, all I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men. And it's just like that's something I really wanted to put like for Demise to say. Maybe not word for word, but you know, something along those lines.
Right. Man, that was hard.
And then he was just gonna like just start decimating people. And that's when like at that point Link is not on the battlefield. Link is like on his way back. Right? He's like on his way. And you know, with Link's training, they were really trying to like Link's training wasn't going well. No matter what they threw at him, like nothing was just like improving Link, and they couldn't figure it out. Like they couldn't figure out why. And what ends up happening is that Link ends up making like this connection with the fierce deity, right? Because like it constantly like keeps getting hinted at, like something fierce or something deity, blah blah blah, like in passing, right? But then when he finally like encounters it, that's when it like it's supposed to click. Like, oh shoot, this whole time they were talking about the fierce deity, and Link is the only incarnation of Link that can actually wield it for some reason. All right. And as time kind of goes on, the fierce deity just ends up being revealed as because we know that Link first experienced like some sort of fierce deity power is when Dark Link like got separated from him. Right. And that's because the fierce deity in, you know, this series or whatever is actually the part of the first hero's soul that like the goddess is imprisoned.
I don't think like we even touched on that in this stream about like what happened with like the imprisoned hero.
Yeah. So that's what that's about. And that's why like it's like super like rage and all this other stuff. So the part of the first hero's soul that's like, I guess, quote unquote rejected is the fierce deity. Right? And then the part that's accepted, the courage and all that stuff, is the part that keeps getting reincarnated.
Okay.
And then there's a third part of that soul that they couldn't do anything with it. So they kind of just like they didn't have any power to like, you know, do anything with it. It was like really defiant against them. Right? And so they decided to essentially like just leave it tied to the courage part. And that's the part that's Dark Link. Alright, so Dark Link himself is essentially literally just the first hero.
That was sick.
And that's why it's like when he got separated from Link, that control over that small fraction of that power like went loose for a little bit. Until it sizzled out, and then, you know, he became...
And then he's like, okay, well, I'll work with these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, so with Dark Link being the first hero, it like opens up that's why Demise was like really scared of him. Or not scared of him, but like wary of him.
Yeah, like a little intimidated by his handsome looks.
Yeah, because he didn't know why. He didn't know
He's
why
like,
Dark Link was giving him those like first hero vibes, right?
Right.
Because not even like Demise knew that, you know, the first hero was sealed in that way, right? But you know, it gets revealed that Dark Link is the first hero, you know, and I haven't like gone into depth about what his connection to Hylia is, like exactly is, because I don't want it to just be like, oh, they loved each other and they weren't allowed to be with each other. and all the other stuff. But like they're definitely they're close, like how Link and Zelda were supposed to be close.
Okay. I kind of got that like vibe from from the intro, and I mentioned that way back when. I was like, oh.
Exactly. So they're like they're close enough to where it's like when they finally get Hylia to appear, it has an effect on Dark Link. Right.
Because he's like, oh wait.
Yeah, like she recognizes him, he recognizes her, and they have a moment and all that other stuff. But prior to this, Dark Link is already like trying to like he has his own agenda. Like he's not fighting in the war at all. He has like his own agenda. He intercepts Link on his way there to the battlefield, and they have like a small like they have like their round too. On the way there, Link.
And Link's like, you don't know, I just fought like 20 of you.
Right. Yeah. And then in that battle, that's when Link finds out that that Dark Link is the first hero.
That's awesome. That was one of my questions. I'm like, oh, does he ever like reveal what he is?
Yeah, I'm kind of just firing them left and right now. What else?
I mean, yeah, that ties in with the Speed's question about like who makes it, who doesn't.
Yeah.
Let me double check my questions. I'll ask the character very specific, the very two specific character ones. I'll ask those afterwards. What was like the set ending gonna look like? Like, I mean, obviously, Yoko goes home. Link is kind of left, no Zelda. What happens like after that?
Yeah, so after the battle and everything, like, it's kind of like obvious that they have to figure out what to do with the kingdom because Zelda's not here. But like Impa kind of like takes charge of all that. She's like, there's no successor, but they kind of like insinuate that they'll keep things running until they get it figured out. Link, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what Link does. Because like
time.
He's what?
He has some time to himself.
Like he always wanted the peaceful life.
And the monkey's paw curls.
Man. So Link, I haven't figured out what he's gonna do. I imagine he'd help Impa get the kingdom back up and running. I don't know. Maybe they'll make him the successor. I don't know. But that just sounds like more stuff he doesn't want.
Right.
But like some characters go off on their own like little things. So like Dark Link never fuses back again with Link's soul. Like he does his own thing essentially, and Dark Link actually goes with Samus into space.
Really?
Yeah, because he pretty much has that moment like there's nothing here for me, right? There's nothing here for me on this planet, blah blah blah. Now that I know there's more out there, I'm gonna freaking go. And I kind of like battled back and forth between like if he has an actual purpose, and one of like a potential purpose would have been like after like Hylia reveals herself, maybe she like says something like "come find me" or whatever, something like that. I don't know, but Dark Link does leave. He leaves with Samus, and because at that point, like his malice and all that other stuff is like gone. Like he doesn't really have anything to fight or anything like that. Well, not that.
That's so sad, but it's funny. Link didn't get some, but Dark Link does. He has choice too. He got Samus and Hylia.
Let's see. Obviously, they have to, like, Ike ends up having to deal with some things in Altea because of Marth's death, but by choice though, because Ike doesn't really have to, but Marth was his friend, so he like kind of does that whole I have to take his body back and blah 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 whatever. But Ike kind of just goes back to Altea, and I'm pretty sure Ike would just end up becoming a mercenary all over again. There's nothing really for him. Everyone else kind of just like returns to a lot of their usual things. Sonic goes back to Mobius for a bit to help, like, fix up all the stuff Scourge messed up. I want to say, like, obviously, Fox, Falco, they're friends with everybody, but at the end of the day, they got stuff to do, so they'll probably leave. Everyone for the Mushroom Kingdom is pretty much okay.
Oh, what about Bowser?
Ah, yes.
I had a feeling I was like, wait, we're forgetting someone.
Forgetting someone crucial. Yeah. So Bowser, like I said, he's really smart. So Bowser is very instrumental in like, what's it called? Like getting Hylia free. Right? Because at this point in the story, like near the end, like there's a bunch of stuff that was supposed to happen where, because Bowser, like leading up, like you can tell like he's like pretty much out there to save his own skin. He knows Demise is not trustworthy, so he's like, I gotta have some plans in motion for when this all goes south, right? So he's just like he puts a bunch of plans together, and since now he is like as the sitting ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom, he has power over the Star Rod, right? And that's what he essentially uses as leverage against Demise, which is kind of obvious. I didn't know any other way to write it, where it wasn't so obvious that he would do that. But it's just like, that's just what he ends up doing. He ends up getting the power of the Star Rod, and he has access to his own materials that help him raise the numbers he needs to help the heroes in the war. Right? And he does like all this behind Demise's back. And that's also like what helps them. It's like at the start of the war where they're fighting all these like creatures from the Zelda universe. Like there's a scene where like they start seeing like Bowser arrives with his army, Koopas and stuff, right? And at first the heroes are like, "Oh damn, we're screwed." But
right, like calm down.
Right, then the Koopas start attacking Demise's army, and then like they get stunned, like what the hell, and that's kind of just when like Bowser like exposes the fact that he's not on their side, but at the same time he knows Demise will kill him anyway. So, and that's part of the reason why like I said, like Demise ends up leaving the castle, and it frees it up for everyone else to kind of just like go in and find this relic that they need to free Hylia, and that's kind of how it goes there. But essentially Bowser does survive. I haven't really found an enemy for him to fight, because I really wanted everyone to have like a moment, you know what I mean? But I can't think of I couldn't think of an enemy for that Bowser would be fighting, because I didn't want it to just be like some just
you're like, what is this?
Some random giant Zelda enemy.
Right.
I wanted him to have an actual meaningful fight, but I don't know. Sometimes I think I just have too many characters, and it's really hard to. And I think that's part of why it was so hard to like maintain the series too.
Because like you had a lot of arcs to cover.
A lot of arcs to cover, yeah. A lot of arcs, and that's like the downside of having so many characters and not being able to even sustain that. But let me think. Who else?
Mushroom Kingdom's good.
I don't know. Maybe Bowser, like Darkling and Bowser were getting along. Maybe he would have joined them.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I like noticed. I mean, I did a doodle of this. I was like, feels like a lot of like some of the characters just have their duos. Like obviously Seth was in the Fea, and then Scourge and Wolf just kind of showed up together, and then Darklink and Bowser are just they always seem to be around each other.
Just imagine that Bowser in space.
Bowser in space. like they're space mercenaries.
Right. They're just like venturing around. I don't know.
If you, we're looking for a giant turtle monster.
Right.
Ransacking villages.
Who knows? Maybe that could have been a thing. And then maybe that could have been a spinoff.
Yeah.
Bowser, Darklink, and Samus. That's the weirdest trio. Like,
I was gonna say that's the weirdest trio. I never would have guessed that.
Alright, who else? Yeah, like all the Sonic characters go back to Mobius, including Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, everyone for the Mushroom Kingdom goes back to the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, I think it has.
Yours does. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I think overall, it's just like the ending, like where the characters end up. It's just very like it's not as exciting except for like Darklink.
Right, like he has a new start.
Yeah.
And I really do like that. Like his like whole first hero deal. I was like, oh, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Scourge, I imagine, does some time for some of his crimes at least.
What other questions? I feel like I'm running out of spoilers.
Yeah, I can't think of really anything.
Yeah, because like I had a lot of details up until the last script I wrote. Or the last script like I have fully written, because like a bunch of the other stuff is like jumbled notes.
Right, just like enough to hang in there until the script.
To remind me of what I'm gonna write. And then so everything after that was just like the major scenes I wanted to happen, and then like I was supposed to just fill in the in betweens.
Right. I think that's everything. Maybe. I mean, Wolf.
Well, Wolf kind of just like ends up riding around with Fox. Like they don't really get into anything interesting. They they already have their own like things to do. Wolf probably catches a ride, gets dropped off somewhere, and starts all over again. He has to get a new crew.
Yeah, I was gonna say minus crew.
Wait. Isaiah's question from earlier about
oh,
Simone.
Yeah.
So the character he referenced, Simone, is from Gurren Lagann as well. And it's funny because like Yoko's departure from their world was supposed to be like really emotional, right? And I really wanted for a scene to bring like more Gurren Lagann characters in, just for like not for like a couple episodes, but literally just for one scene, right? Where after Yoko goes back, she returns for a moment, or she brings help from her universe for a moment and then returns with them. I don't know which one I really wanted to do, but coming out of that, realm was going to be one of their mechs, probably the Gurren Lagann mech, with Simone piloting it, or Kamina and Simone. It just depends what assets I would have been able to find, and they would have probably had like a couple of lines to say or whatever, because the Yoko model that I use in the series is from like the earlier years in the Gurren Lagann series. So just for like continuity's sake, I was just gonna have a point in the series where it would have made sense that Simone and Kamina appear, which is both of them are obviously characters from that show. But they were gonna both of them or one of them was gonna appear, in the mech, mess some stuff up, and or be part of that instrumental or be an instrumental part of that process where they yank the power back from Demise, and then retreat back into their universe. And then right before Yoko steps through, obviously like her and Link exchange like a lot of words or whatever. I don't know. Maybe there would have been a hug, a handshake, or something like.
Right, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, and they leave. Because like when I was younger, thinking about the scene, like the first instinct I was like, oh yeah, this should be a kissing scene where they finally kiss or whatever, blah blah. But I'm just like, nah, like, nah.
Right.
Let's just keep it more like, let's just keep it more like they were just really really, like yeah they liked each other, but it never got to that point.
Yeah, like they knew like it wasn't really gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, like it never got to that point, and they kind of like they kind of both realized there or whatever. So maybe there's a hug or a handshake instead. That just seems more like that fits the story more, I feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in my head, I did plan for Simone to appear somehow, but it had to make sense because like I didn't want to keep doing that to the story, just keep throwing things in just because it'd be cool.
Right.
Because like trust me, I had a lot of ideas. I had ideas where I was going to like because it's like Demise has the ability to travel all these different dimensions. I was gonna bring in like so many like random characters from different things that like I'm a nerd about. Like literally at one point I had an idea for like a Godzilla fight in the middle of the freaking war.
Yeah.
Like Godzilla's just gonna come through the portal and fight like
And Gandalf the Great and Gandalf the White.
This is the ultimate showdown.
That's basically what this show is gonna be.
And yeah, the last fight, like literally, like King Ghidorah was gonna pop up, and then Godzilla was gonna pop up from the other portal, and they were gonna fight for a little bit, and then just like fall back into another portal back to their world. It was just gonna be chaos.
Okay, but Godzilla versus Beast Ethos, who would win?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably Godzilla.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like Beast Ethos, we love you,
Yeah.
but no, that you ain't winning that.
Another idea I had was that since like while Demise is fighting Link, he still has this power to like traverse different realities or whatever, that there is going to be like a sequence of them fighting, like they're fighting through other realities. And then I was like maybe I'll put it, they're fighting, and then they just happen to fly by like Godzilla or something. I don't know, like for some reason like I just really wanted to put that in there, but after a while I was kind of just like, that's doing too much. Like I literally have like a Godzilla rig for Maya like downloaded in preparation.
Just in case.
Just in case. But I was like, nah. And then there's like another scene I thought of. 'Cause remember I mentioned those Golden Sun characters. I really wanted there to be a scene where like they pop up for a minute and help out. But I was just like, one, most of them don't have models. And two, that's just going to add a whole bunch of like stuff I'm going to have to make and prepare.
Right.
And it's like, it's just me. And I was like, that's just going to be doing too much.
And then during that fight, they go to the Sethos' crafted world. And it's there for 5 seconds, and it's canon. Damn it!
All right. Then I don't know. At that point, maybe I would have like recorded my desk and had them fight on my desk and make that canon. Like,
oh, that would have been cute. I remembered a question that was said in chat so very long ago. Drez asked if there was going to be like character side stories.
See, that I'm still interested in doing. There's a few scenes that I wanted to make that were kind of like sides of all that. Like Shadow talking to Ike. Like when he first recruits him. Like I was gonna make a separate like short video of that. Or like I mentioned before, when Impa and them go to recruit the Dekus, I was gonna make that. I was thinking of making that a separate video instead of like putting it into an episode. I could make it into like a separate video and be like, oh, it fits at this part in the timeline, or like,
Right.
or like instead of
filler
like,
episode.
yeah, instead of like showing all the characters going through their training arcs, maybe I would have animated something on the side of like Lucario training Daisy, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like instead of trying to fit that all into the series and just the episodes being like 50 freaking episodes.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I was really trying to end the series at like 25, 30.
Mm.
Because that's why like I really started ramping up all the stuff, and I was just like, just throw everything out so that way I can just get to the final battle, and then we can just be done with it.
And then we can be done.
We can be done. But I'm also like, even though I'm spoiling the whole series here, I'm also still open to like I think we talked in DMs about it before, like making it into a comic or like a audio thing or something. Like I'm still open to those types of ideas, but as far as like sitting down and getting something visually on the screen, it's just not happening.
Right. I mean, we already have Sethos the musical. We can just make this a stage play.
But yeah, I think I've run out of things.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It is getting pretty late. I didn't expect the stream to be this long, to be honest. I think we're going on 4 hours.
Yeah.
So we'll probably end here. Yeah, that's pretty much where the story was going. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll do another stream or something just to go over like the assets and stuff were built, because like that's one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to go like through like Maya and show like everything that I have built before for like the like a lot of like behind the scenes and stuff like that. That's kind of what I wanted to go into, but I did not expect the stream to go this long. So maybe we'll have maybe we'll have another stream in the future about it. I'll give it some thought. Yeah, I'll give it some thought. But for now, we're gonna end here. All right. Your drawings, man, they always uplift me.
Yay.
Look at that smile. Is that dark or just regular Link?
Oh, that's just regular Link.
Oh.
Yeah. 2 Links times 2 Sethos. No, times 3 Sethos. Scourge, Cat. We got Dark. Lefea, Lucario, Falco. 2 Dark, and then lots of Beast and spare Lefea.
That's the thing. Beast Sethos would have to been made like a. I'd have to hire somebody to make his model, which I don't mind, but
because it's so like spec.
I know. Hopefully in the future one day. But
One day.
all right, guys, I appreciate you coming through, listening to me ramble. I did not expect it to go this long, and I did not expect to have that much to say, really. I thought I'd have everything just kind of just lined up to where we could follow along until the end of the series, but yeah, I really think if we want to go more in depth about it, this would probably have to be a part 2. But for now, I'm not planning on it, but I'm not closed to it, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wish you all a good night. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to bed.
Thank you.
I make late food.
All right. Good night, everyone.